Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to TDPHINSTALK, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. We are live on this amazing Tuesday night. It is 9:30. Oh, no. Let me mute this. It is 9:30 p.m. sharp. All right, 9:30 p.m. sharp. We were supposed to go live at 9 o'clock, but y'all forgive me. I was trying to reboot the internet and do some other stuff. Just got back in off of the road from Miami, as y'all know if you saw the last stream. But we are live. We are here tonight to enjoy ourselves. We got an amazing panel show. So much to talk about tonight. It's going down. Y'all already know we got the panelists on standby. A few panelists are missing right now, but we have two already in the building. You already know EM. He don't mind being in the comment section, but he dodge always showing up in the panel. He thinks he got to make a grand entrance. Y'all, EM just that attention seeker. But anywho, oh man, it's going down. Shout out to everybody who's already here. I want to give a special shout out to our newest Patreon. I just got the notification. Shout out to Infinite Trauma, our newest Patreon. Basically, and what that means is Infinite Trauma is showing love and support to the channel in a monetary way, just keeping it 100. And I appreciate that, Infinite. Thank you so much. And TDPHINSTALK appreciates that. And welcome to the Patreon. I hope I live up to your expectations. But yes, guys, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. We're going to talk about what makes a great quarterback in the NFL, what's necessary. And we're also going to piggyback on the Dak Prescott situation with the Cowboys are going through. Why are we going to talk about that? Because a lot of teams are going to go through the same thing coming up soon. But at the top of the hour, guys, we're going to talk about Xavien Howard. Okay, why Xavien Howard looks like he might be in more trouble than we expected. So look out for that subject as well. Not only that, we have to have a conversation about our draft. Okay, we need to talk about some of this quarterback prospect situation that everybody's been blah 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 and about, but more information has come out, and we're gonna get on that as well. So I look forward to the show tonight. I look forward to having some fun. But before we even get started, I gotta make sure we give a special shout out to none other than Phins.
Hey everybody,
what's up? Talk to him, Finsanity.
Hi guys, how have you been? Hopefully you enjoyed the Super Bowl this past Sunday. It is now time to talk about free agency. How excited are you about that? Because we have money to spend. And if you don't think that we're not gonna spend this money, you're crazy. And I personally would be very disappointed if we don't get at least 2 offensive linemen coming out of this free agency. We have to have a good plan. I'm all about maybe drafting a guy, but we need a veteran presence, guys who've gone against other guys in this league already, who already know these other guys' tendencies, because we have a very, very tough schedule next year. And of course, we want to compete. We still want to be talking about, the Dolphins are going to the playoffs. So we're going to need some veteran presence behind a very young quarterback, because I'm not 100% sold that Fitz will be starting next year. There you go, T.
We'll see, but we shall see. But welcome, Finsanity. We missed you for a while. We're glad that you're back, and she's gonna be back with us every Tuesday night, y'all. I just threw that out there. I don't know if she will, but we'll see.
We'll see.
But we also want to bring the legend himself in the building. Let me go ahead and give him that real fanfare. The reason that we're here. Oh, the vocals ain't working today, but I right next time. Reason. What's up? Talk to him, homie, while I turn this TV on real quick.
You got to drink that tea with some honey in it, brother, to warm up the vocal cords. Yeah, I don't know about all that legendary stuff, but I appreciate the intro. Yo, I'm hyped, but I got a question for Finsanity. So who's starting next year? Because it ain't Joshy boy. I'll tell you that right now. Not the way it's looking out.
Listen, I really feel like the Dolphins are in a very great position to compete, possibly for one of the young guys coming out. And, we don't know where they stand on Josh. I feel like Josh has been given a very bad shake, because now this is his 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years. We're not going into college. We're going to leave that there. But we're talking about in the NFL, third one. So that's another offense that he has to learn, which is like, it's crazy when you think about it.
Get him back.
Listen, can I say this? And I really mean this. I hope that with Josh having a full, off season, hopefully he already has, an idea of what kind of offense we're going to be running and implementing next year. Get this man a running back. So we're not asking him to throw the ball 30 plus times a game. Get this man an offensive, line. So when he's, rolling out or doing, a hard play action, he's not worried about his blind side, and he can sit in that pocket comfortably and deliver that ball to our amazing wide receiving core that we're going to have. I'm not sold on Josh. I know we draft Tua's not starting, but we have to start building a chemistry with all these young guys. We cannot keep pushing ourselves back. We cannot keep, being behind the 8 ball on where our future is heading. We need to start embracing it as a franchise and as a fan base. And if we are going to be young, why not start now? We're a couple years out. Let's start doing it now. We see where Josh Allen is. We see where, Sam Darnold is going. We got to catch up. We got to get on the ball. That's all I'm saying. We need to get it going.
So I think the writing is starting to come onto the wall, and I think it's subtle. So this is the evidence that I'm starting to piece together to my puzzle. One, Chan Gailey is renowned for the spread. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, this isn't the spread 10 years ago. Today's spread, what's one of the top things it requires out of your quarterback? You got to have legs. Yeah. Whether it's going to be through the RPO or extending plays on play action, or like you said, rolling out. Josh
hips.
Josh Rosen ain't got the legs to really be effective when he rolls it out, right? So when we look at a guy like Tua, when we look at a guy like Jordan Love, let's even throw Herbert in there, because for the sake of people, we've heard, that name. It's not happening, but it's Jordan Love or Tua Tagovailoa. One of those two guys' top traits is extending plays, being mobile. You know what I mean? And that's I was watching it today. Good point someone made today about Tua, and actually about Jordan Love, and I'll say that in a second. But Tua, the problem with Tua is going to be if that medical comes back, and this is why me and EM have always said about the medical. That medical comes back and it doesn't look good with the hip, and now we're questioning whether he's going to still have that ability to extend plays. That changes the whole dynamic of him as a quarterback. Okay, so that's why we've always prefaced with the medical, because his ability to extend plays, his ability to keep plays alive are one of the things that make him who he is, even though in all seriousness, his passer rating and his accuracy does tend to dip a little bit when he's on the run, but it does for most quarterbacks. Number two, perfect example of why we're not taking a guy like Herbert and why we're going to go either Jordan Love or Tua. When you look at Joe Burrow's going to go number one, let's all settle that. That's over and done with, okay? Schefter came on and said he killed all the trade rumors, said don't listen to what anyone's saying. It's over. Burrow is going there, right? So that's going to happen. So let's just assume that's going to happen. So with Tua, you either take the guy who's most polished, or with Jordan Love, you take the guy with the most potential. And the thing is, Herbert isn't either one of those. He isn't the most polished, and he doesn't have the most potential. So that's why I think Tua and Jordan Love is the move. So the problem when you're getting with, do you want Tua? Do you want a guy who can – because if you listen to him talking this weekend when he's on CBS and everyone, this guy thinks he's going to be able to go day one.
Who?
Tua. From what his medical progress is being – I watched over 2 hours of him interviewing on CBS, on him going and sitting down with Phil Simms. I watched all of his interviews over the weekend, literally last night, and just because I was up late, and I was like, yeah. So I watched them, and brother – these guys are saying what he's on right now, because he's already throwing. So the pace he's on, there's already footage of him throwing from this weekend in Miami. He was throwing to kids, doing little routes. First kid he threw to happened to be in a Devontae Parker jersey, but that's neither here or there. So, so what he's being told basically right now is how it's looking is because he's ahead of schedule. If things keep going the way he's going, I think his next meeting is this upcoming Friday. It's things keep progressing the way they're going, and everything checks out with the blood flow in March, because March is when he's going to know, is what he said, middle of March. He said doctors have told him you will be able to play football by September. So,
but even if
he's going to get redshirted.
I was going to say, do you think any team will actually put him out there?
I do think there's a GM and a head coach dumb enough, but I hope we're not that team. You know why? Another reason I've said this on air, on your panels. You know why I want Tua guys too? Because not only is he polished, not only is he elite, not only is he Drew Brees with Russell Wilson mobility when he's healthy, but this will force our hand to properly draft a guy, sit him, and properly groom him under our tutelage and the way we want. Not some damaged goods we got from Arizona that came out of UCLA. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to be harsh. That's the situation it is turning into with Josh. You know, he had 3 offensive coordinators at UCLA. He's got 3 now. He's about to be on his 3rd. You know, in all fairness, 2 in 3 years has gone through 3 different offensive coordinators at Alabama. But we want a guy who's going to come in here. We pick him, the guy we want. Even if it's a guy like what your sources said, Jordan Love. At least you know that's a guy they identified a year ago, and that's a guy they said, that's the guy we want. That's the fit we want. You get that guy, you properly groom him, and you make him our guy going forward. That's how you do this, man. And you redshirt, even if it's Trevor Lawrence. I've said this multiple times. Even if it's Trevor Lawrence, you redshirt him for a year. I don't care who you are. You got to start. Look at where Mahomes' success right now. That first year helped more than people could even imagine, because I remember that training camp of his first year as starter. I don't know if you guys remember this. Do you remember that first week of him in training camp of his first year starter where he threw like 8 picks? Remember, it was like 8 or 7 picks in his first week of practice at training camp, and everyone was freaking out. But he learned. Yeah, it was crazy. I remember reading about that, and everyone was freaking out. And look what he's turned into, because he was groomed, developed. You know, he got to sit behind a guy. I want whoever we draft to sit behind Fitzpatrick. You know, I don't want Tom Brady because he's not a good mentor. Let's put money and realistically aside. The guy didn't want to mentor Jimmy G. Fitzpatrick, you hear what he did in the chalk room with O'Shea, basically being our offensive coordinator, you know, and I think that's the perfect guy for one of these young minds, especially if it's Tua, because he's so polished already to learn under. I don't think you can find a better situation.
Did you hear the newest rumor?
What's the newest rumor now?
With Tua to Dallas?
No, what he said, because, again, he talked about this. Someone asked him what his favorite team was growing up. And he said his favorite team growing up was Dallas.
No, not that. I'm talking about someone in the organization literally said Jerry Jones has mentioned a possibility of taking that route if they can't work things out with Dak, because they feel like they've offered Dak a certain amount of money and he's being ridiculous, because a lot of these quarterbacks,
they'll have to move up.
Yeah, of course. But here's why they said that it could be realistic, because they said the Cowboys for the next 3 years won't have the money to pay a first round pick anyway. They said the way that their salary cap is right now, for the next 3 years, they won't have the money to pay first round draft picks anyway. So they're thinking about possibly trading out. That's what they're doing with Houston. Houston, I didn't notice, and it makes sense why they gave us the bank. But Houston isn't gonna after what's his name, the quarterback in Houston, Deshaun Watson's contract. They're not gonna have the money for a few years if they do Watson and Tunsil. So that's why they didn't mind giving up the next 2 years first round, because they don't have the capital.
You know what the problem is? If Jerry moves up, you got to move up to the top 5 to grab Tua.
True.
From 5, okay, so I looked into it. 5, 6, and 7. If Tua goes in between 5, 6, and 7, he's looking between 25 to 27 million guaranteed.
Well, the guaranteed money they're caring about the year per year.
Yeah,
that's
I'm just saying that's how much you're going
to
be. You make more, like Rosen we got on the cheap, but like you're basically doubled if you're getting picked at 5. And if he goes in top 3, I haven't looked at the number, but I'm going to assume it's in the early 30s.
But for them, that's the guaranteed money. But for the Cowboys, they're looking at it as, we can get away with paying a quarterback.
I think they're going to go with Finsanti's boy McKinney, or they're going to go with Grant Delpit. That's
you have to look at it this way, Reason. if they move on from Dak Prescott, they're going to save about $35 million. And that's going to help them sign Byron Jones. It's going to help them sign that offensive lineman. It's going to help them sign Cooper.
Well, the franchise
it's going to help them get them.
They're franchising him, I heard.
Well, no, the rumor is that they're franchising him, but he already told them, put it out there, that I'm not going to show up if you do.
And what's that, $27 million for the franchise?
28.
That guy's worth like 20. Come on.
Yeah, but that's what these teams are going through right now. And they're talking about that wasn't it though with the Cowboys. They said if they do bring Tua in, they'll make the push to bring in Brady.
Hey, you know what? I personally think I think he's going back to the Patriots, but if he isn't, I think it's the Chargers, brother. All the pieces they got in place, and Derwin James, their stud safety. He came back in like week 13, so he'll be back with a full. That defense is totally different without Derwin James this year, so he'll be back for a full season. I think if you look at the receiving core, brother, they got pieces. Like they got Mike Williams, they got what's his face, Keenan Allen. They got Benjamin. They got Benjamin too.
Yes.
They got Benjamin. Like they got piece, and they got a decent O-line. They got if they let Gordon walk, they still got Austin Eckler who can catch the ball out of I don't think the Patriots in the offseason could come away with the type of weapons the Chargers have. And apparently they said, we'll pay you $30 million. But Brady said, that's fine and dandy, but I want weapons. And that's what he told the Patriots. I want weapons.
Yes, he did. He said that recently, the last few days.
So they'd have to go out and sign like Emmanuel Sanders. They'd have to go get like Melvin Gordon. And when have you known the Patriots to splurge like that, TD? They won't do that.
That's true. Well, we got another panelist backstage that I'm about to bring forward. I'm so excited, man. It's the only panelist that don't know anything about football, but he always adds comedic relief. Y'all give it up for EM.
Oh, wow.
What's good, fam? What's good? Reason?
What's good, homie?
What's good? Hey.
I see him. I see it.
I like it.
I see it.
I like the windbreaker, though. Is that a sweater or a windbreaker?
I'm out here representing my Heat right now. We're doing big things,
Two have been sending EM some gear. I see it.
Hey, y'all gonna have to bear with me, man. I'm just now getting home from my day. So I'm half asleep right now, but
you're good, man. You're good, man. We here, bro. How you doing though? You good?
Oh yeah.
Awesome, man.
Just ready for the off season, baby.
We here, man. We here. It's gonna be in front of us before we know it.
Super Bowl now. It's our Super Bowl now.
Yeah. Hey, I heard y'all talking about that Tua the Dallas rumor. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I heard it today, man. It was
really.
Yes, I heard a little like a little podcast thing talking about it. The guy was basically saying that he heard somebody basically, and once again, he heard somebody. But he heard somebody basically talking about Jerry has mentioned the possibility, but you know how that goes. I just thought it was intriguing because I ain't gonna lie, that's actually interesting.
You know who'd be perfect for them? You know, you guys would think I'm crazy. You know who's perfect for them? Jake Fromm. Perfect game manager. Perfect.
Hold on. Why are we writing Dak off? You know, he put up the numbers and did all this and that. You know, he deserves the money, right? You gotta pay him. You can't let him walk. TD. That's what I'm used to hearing.
That's one of those guys where stats don't tell the whole story.
Hey, look. I don't know why people hate on Dak Prescott, man. I mean, I'm not saying he's not Patrick Mahomes, but Dak is a very good quarterback.
Yeah, but when you look at his numbers and his play against playoff teams and over 500 teams this year, they're not that good. They're not that good.
Well, but the whole team, the team as a whole regressed this year.
That's
the
true.
Team as a whole regressed. The line, Zeke got fat. You know, in Cabo,
Marcus Lawrence didn't play well.
Amari Cooper looked like he fell off a cliff, bro.
Cooper.
The defense regressed, and I think they missed Leighton Vander Esch a lot more than what they anticipated when he got hurt with that neck injury. So
that rookie receiver, what's his name? He beasted for them. What's the guy? He's the number 2 guy there now, behind Amari.
You talking about Gallup, Michael Gallup?
Yeah, Michael Gallup. Yeah, that guy.
This is his second year though. He's not a rookie.
Oh yeah, sorry. So he had a good season though.
Byron Jones regressed.
But the main thing is, hold on. The main thing is this though, EM. Yeah, the team regress, but is Dak worth $35 to $40 million?
No, I never said he was worth $40 million.
No, I know you never said it, but that's the issue.
I get it. But my thing is, and my main issue, and TD, we'll get to this shortly, where I got to give you a little credit. We'll get to that shortly. But
what?
Hey, but what's the alternative? So you don't let him walk. You've got an established Pro Bowl talent at that position. Okay, you're gonna let him walk and who knows where's the next guy gonna come from,
buddy? That's literally the perfect scenario to say, hey, guess what? Drew Brees is staying for another year. Saints have already come out and said Taysom Hill is a franchise quarterback. So I say, hey, Teddy, you want to come here for 15, 20 million, Teddy? Because guy can plug you in there and probably get pretty much comparable numbers.
Well, I can understand if they had a guy in the pipeline. You know, I totally get that.
Teddy would be perfect for that.
I mean, Teddy
No, I gotta hear this thing. I gotta hear this thing now where EM say he gotta give me credit. I don't know what's going on.
Man, dude, that's gonna be from when I'm about to log on.
I don't even want him. I don't want him to forget, y'all. I don't want to forget.
That's not gonna be until I get ready to log on, TD. So don't get your hopes up, bro.
You know what Dallas really needs to do? They need to go to some of their offensive linemen and say, hey, listen, we need to restructure these contracts. But if you look at what they are getting paid and how they perform last year protecting Dak, horrible.
They're not going to get back.
Give Dak some money for all the sacks, hits, hurries he had to endure last year because it was horrible.
See, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it, though. See, you got to talk to a guy when you're signing the offensive lineman. You got to ask him for the deal. But you can't do that until you win a Super Bowl. Like Patrick Mahomes, for instance. I told y'all, if they're going to do it, they have to do it while he on his rookie deal. They got it done. So when his contract comes up, now you might have an opportunity, especially if you get one more. Especially if you win the chip next year. Now you got an opportunity to look at that team around them and say, hey, man, can you help us out? We trying to keep this together. But if you ain't winning Super Bowls, nobody want to hear that. Give me my money.
But look, though, they had him on a discount for 4 years, man. They had him on a discount for 4 years. I think Dak should get every nickel he can.
You know what the problem is?
Them giving the team a hometown discount. No, that's not my.
As a unit, as a total unit, they've been as a total unit. So I mean, like 1 year the defense is good, then the offense is like eh. So as a total unit, they've been kind of mediocre. 8-8, barely squeaking out an NFC East championship when they did win, et cetera, et cetera. You know what the problem is? This is the problem, and this is no one thinks about this, but this comes down to the Pro Bowl being a popularity contest because these guys are being a mediocre team at best, but their whole O-line getting voted to the Pro Bowl multiple years, going to the negotiating table and saying, hey, yeah, we ain't won a Super Bowl, but I'm a 3-time Pro Bowler. You better pay up. You know what I'm saying? That's what this – and there's Dak Prescott. Yeah, 8-8, but I'm a Pro Bowler. Pay up.
No, I would say, well, I'm just saying, man, the only way you let talent like that walk out unless you have somebody coming down the pipeline. Period. Like Green Bay did with Brett Favre, the transition from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, the Patriots transition from Drew Bledsoe to Tom Brady. That's the only way I could possibly fathom doing something like that. But if you have no alternative, there is no way you let Pro Bowl established talent just walk out your door for no reason. You're setting your franchise back minimum 3 years if you don't have somebody to come in and duplicate that same production. Period.
Yeah, I get the whole pipeline thing, or at least have somebody that you definitely want to go after in the draft to replace. But here's the deal with that. My concern with that, EM, is when you say you set your whole franchise back at least 3 years, some could argue that you set your franchise back 4 years if you do make that deal.
Yeah, you're not winning one anyways with all that money going to that kind of talent.
That's the issue that teams are facing right now. That's the only. What did Jerry Jones say? Jerry Jones said the amount of money being asked for is ridiculous to the point to where you handicap the team. Now,
no. You handicap the team when you don't properly prioritize the different aspects of your team. quarterback should always be prioritized before everybody else. Zeke, in my opinion, they shouldn't have paid Zeke Elliott. They should.
I agree with that.
I would have traded Zeke when he took his behind to Cabo. I would have told him, you know what, you stay down there, and I'll let you know when we got that bus ticket for you getting shipped out of Dallas, bro. That's the first mistake he made. Okay. The second mistake was giving Jalen Smith all of that money. When you had Leighton Vander, and I get it, both of them as a tandem, arguably could be the best 2 linebackers in the league. But again, you're tying up, you're allocating all these resources into Jalen Smith, and then you have Leighton Vander Esch coming up in another 2 years. He has to get paid. Mm-hmm.
They gave DeMarcus Lawrence $18 million a year.
DeMarcus Lawrence. Generally,
did you see the year he had this year though?
I get it. But generally, teams prioritize quarterbacks, pass rushers, and lockdown corners.
Agreed. But honestly, if I'm sitting back and looking based off production alone, not including this year, even when DeMarcus had good years, I would pay Zeke 15 before I'd be paying DeMarcus Lawrence 18 million a year.
Look at that rookie they drafted last year. He came in this year. You can make a legitimate argument. He outperformed Zeke Elliott this year. The guy they got from Memphis. The guy they got
Skip Bayless. Yeah, Tony Pollard. Skip Bayless.
Listen,
you can probably make. Go ahead, TD. I'm sorry.
My bad. No, I was going to say their problem with Ezekiel Elliott is, here's why I don't respect the Cowboys with their salary cap situation. They're not being consistent with the message. I used to respect the Cowboys when they let DeMarco Murray go. I respect it. What were the 2 running backs in a row that they had? It was DeMarco Murray, and then it was who?
I just remember them letting DeMarco walk.
It was somebody even before that. But both of those guys, and both of them went to the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken, year after each other. But my thing is, instead of paying them the big deal, they let him go, and then they brought Zeke in. And now all of a sudden, because Jerry Jones said back then, a Mack truck can run through this line because the Cowboy fans were mad about DeMarco Murray going. He said, I could run a Mack truck through this line. And everybody got mad, and he said, shut up and watch this. Ezekiel Elliott came in, and he balled out. But now you're not being consistent with your message. If the line is what you're investing in and you expect them to get it done, but at the end of the day, he didn't expect Ezekiel Elliott to be such a star to sell all the jerseys and be marketable the way that he is. Jerry Jones is making business decisions based off of being marketable.
I agree.
Was it Marlon Barber? I agree.
Are you
thinking
Marion Barber?
Yeah, Marion Barber.
McFadden. It was McFadden.
McFadden. Yeah,
it was
McFadden.
Yep. Yeah,
you're right.
They did that 2 times.
Shout out to another Razorback, baby.
They did that twice, man.
Didn't the Raiders
and the Cowboys fans were mad, and Jerry Jones was proven correct that it didn't matter which running back I had back there as long as I got that line. Mm-hmm. And now he's going against that all of a sudden, and I'm like, oh, you're dropping your principles, but now you got a problem with Dak. Now you want to have those principles with Dak. He's chasing the market money. And let me tell you, Dak Prescott knows that he's worth $30 million. But the reason why he wants 35 to 40 million is because let me tell you what these players are banking on right now. And this is why Patrick Mahomes, y'all mark my words, he might get $50 million. Because what they're banking on is the new TV deal. They're hoping that the next CBA brings a 17th game.
Like the NBA with the TV.
Yeah, they're hoping that they get a 17th game with the next CBA, which is going to bring more revenue that's shared. And that's what they're banking on. The problem is the players themselves know that they've already said ain't no way it's happening, but these guys are asking for money as if it may. And what they're trying to do is get teams to give them money as if it does. And when it doesn't, they're in trouble. Those teams are in trouble.
But they were definitely. I mean, that I think we talked about this before about the 2 possible, the possible new revenue streams that are coming into the that I've been hearing.
Streaming too. Streaming.
Yeah, that gambling money. Yeah, that's what's going to generate the most. Mm-hmm. But
we have it out here. We have it out here, heavy.
So they know what's coming down the pipeline. They know, and I don't blame those quarterbacks. Mahomes and all. I wouldn't say a word. I would sit. Hey, we good? I'm good. I'm not starving. and wait till that new CBA, wait till those new revenue streams come in and they sign that CBA. But again, okay, I'm not saying, well, I'm not gonna say that. I think Patrick Mahomes deserves everything he gets. Everything.
Hold on, I got a question for you about Mahomes then, okay? So let's say everything he gets is $40 million. So my question to you is, do you pay him right after the Super Bowl, or do you wait it out next year because your chances of going back-to-back are low, and that way when you go to the negotiating table, it's not – because right now it's going to be his highest price because you're fresh off the bowl win. And the Super
So you
Bowl
wait till next year.
Yeah, okay. So you wait till the end of the season, right?
Yeah, but you're just not gonna let him get into the 5th-year option.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You see what I mean? You're just you're gonna get one more year out of Mahomes. Matter of fact, you're actually gonna pay Mahomes November of next year, middle of the season. You're gonna go ahead.
What kind of cap did they have, EM? When you shared that picture of San Fran and KC, what kind of cap?
They had the lowest cap in the league.
Well, how much space did they have? Like $60 million, right?
Yeah.
The Chiefs?
The Chiefs.
Oh yeah, but they're gonna have to get rid of some of them old linemen. There's a few. They got a lot of free agents.
Well, Frank Clark's about want to get paid when he's up.
They got a lot of free agents.
Frank Clark has already been paid.
You don't think he's gonna want to get paid again?
No. Well, if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm telling them to kick rocks. They just gave him a contract last year when they traded for him.
They
how
got
many years though? It
It
wasn't like 5.
It was like a 3-4 year deal. It was a big deal. It was like, I think he got 100. He signed for 100, but I think it was like maybe 50, 60 guaranteed. It was similar to the one DeMarcus Lawrence signed with Dallas, I believe.
He earned that.
So guys, we're gonna shift gears real quick. I'm gonna bring this audio into the conversation because we needed to. This is Miami Dolphins related because we need to talk about this. We need to have a serious conversation because now I think the situation with Xavien Howard is a lot worse.
Oh man! Here we go. TD really, bro.
Did you listen? Yeah.
Hey, I heard it. Do you really have to bring the audio in, bro? Is that necessary?
But this is for the people watching.
Some people haven't heard it.
Man, come on.
I know it's your guy. And it hurts your feelings to hear it.
95% of the fan base has heard that audio tape.
All right, well, this is for the 5% who didn't.
All you doing is pouring salt on that wound. That's all you doing, TD.
Yeah, I'm not pouring salt on the wound. We need to have a real discussion. I mean, we need to evaluate this.
And FM hasn't heard it. He just asked, is it that bad?
We need to evaluate our future, and is he really going to be a part of our future? Let's be real here. You cannot tell me, EM, you heard that and didn't think twice. Even if he's still a part of our future, you cannot sit here and tell me.
But again, TD, it's two sides to every story.
Guess what? We're about to hear her side real quick.
Listen. I done been in a domestic issue, not similar to what he has, but I'm sure a good portion of the men out there have been in similar situations. Absolutely. And female falsely accused, on the phone, similar situation, on the phone telling dispatch false and giving them false information. You know what I mean?
People haven't heard it. People are in the comment section.
So all I'm saying, look, I don't want to get personal with my personal life, but all I'm saying is this. It's always two sides to every story. Agreed. Don't just hear hers and just take that as the gospel, bro.
EM, I agree with you more than ever. I promise you, bro. I really do. But at the end of the day, that shouldn't stop us from listening to hers.
Yeah, well,
so with that being,
and a lot of people in the comments have said they haven't heard it. EM, a lot of people.
I'm gonna put my headphones down and y'all have that.
That's all good. We'll let you. The audio only 30 seconds.
Bro, is this a family member we're talking about here? Like.
He all right. All right. Here's the audio.
It's bringing back bad memories, bro. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no, I agree with you. Yo, some women be wildin', like some men be wildin'. That's just the nature of human nature.
All right, here we go, guys. We're gonna play this audio and then we're gonna have a discussion about it. All right.
Tell me exactly what happened.
Oh, sorry.
TD ought to be ashamed of yourself, bro. You need to be ashamed of yourself.
Tell me exactly what happened. So my fiance continues to think he could just push me throw me into the wall without me doing nothing just because of who he is. But it's kind of getting to the point. It's like it's getting physical.
How long ago was this?
This was literally like 2 minutes ago. I just walked outside.
And what do you mean because of who he is?
Because he plays football, so every time a situation happens, it's always like, oh, don't do this, or, oh, well, you'll be okay, don't call the cops. But it's like, okay, like him just pushing me into the mirror, grabbing my arm, grabbing me by my neck, like, this is probably the last day that's going to happen.
Stevie ought to be ashamed of himself, bro.
So basically, what I get from of it, this is a woman who allegedly is fed up. And now I'm gonna use the word allegedly repeatedly for EM, so he don't feel like I'm just trying to go at Xavien Howard, because these are real allegations that will be investigated by the Miami Dolphins and the NFL and law enforcement. Might I add, a domestic dispute. Now, so at the end of the day, matter of fact, listen, I want to hear from you all. Finsanity, what did you think about it?
This is definitely coming from a female point of view. Let me make that very clear. I feel like she's sincere in a way. She sounds a little bit more composed than someone, because she said it just happened, and I feel like if it's just happened, for you to have that much composure and you've gotten to this point where now you are actually calling the police. This is, endearing of like this is systematic. This has happened on more than one occasion. And I feel like that she has, given Xavien numerous opportunities to change, to try to, better his reaction and, to calm himself down, maybe seek therapy, maybe, find an alternative outlet. Now, of course, men will, say, oh, she's lying, but we don't know this. And I feel like
she's lying. I'm not saying she's lying. I'm just saying.
No, there's people in the comments that are saying she's lying.
She could be, but she may not. Who are we? We weren't there.
Exactly. But my thing is like this: if this is true, and there's an investigation, and it happens to come out that X has been doing this, then we as fans, we as human beings, have to say, no, X, you got to go. The league will pretty much probably handle it on their own, but we as an organization, we've already had enough, tarnishment on how, players have dealt with other players. And now this is your fiance. She has more to lose than to gain by jeopardizing this man's NFL career. She could easily go down the aisle, collect the ring, and then collect half. I'm pretty sure, I think they have a baby girl together. So now she's only collecting child support instead of getting half. I'm not trying to bring the financial thing into it, but this woman is fed up. When a woman calls the cops, it's not because she's just doing it to have fun. Maybe they like just doing it out the blue. It seems like, this is something that has been going on. She has given X the benefit of the doubt that he would deal with it. And this just goes, to, like I was telling you guys later, the gladiator mindset that, the psyche of some of these players. And sometimes they can't get out of their way because they've been so involved in the brutality of being on the field so much. Like, these are guys who've probably been playing since they were like 6, 7 years old.
That's true.
So
that's true.
The psychological development, this is where the NFL needs to step in and start giving these guys counseling and other forms of outlets. I know some guys say they do yoga and stuff like that, but the league needs to step in and start giving, these players, options to, bring themselves back to a reality, to get them out of that. Because this is the closest thing that we will ever get to gladiators. No one else is getting out, in the middle of a coliseum with a sword and a shield and going out there and fighting to the death. This is the most brutal sport known to man. And it is played here. And it is up to the league. It is up to the franchises to get these guys some help. because it seems like we hear about a new person each and every year. It's crazy. It's something new every off season. So for us to say, oh, maybe she's mad or maybe she's lying and all that, we don't know what's going on. We don't know, how these guys are when they're home, but we see the brutality that they have when they're on that field. And God forbid anyone, voice is minimized so that we as fans can have our, favorite players out there trying to compete for us. Where do we, set the standard of our conscience? And the first thing we want to say is, she's lying.
No. I know you're not saying I'm lying, but I never said she lied. I've never said she was lying. All I'm saying is this. First off, I've got a background in law enforcement. Mm-hmm. So I've been dispatched to situations. We used to see situations like this all day, every day. Mm-hmm. So that being said, and I've been in a personal situation similar, not the exact same way, but I'm talking about from the female is on the phone blatantly lying to Fort Worth Police Department. You know what I mean? So I've seen and I've been on both sides of the spectrum. All I am saying is this. You can't just take one person's side and automatically think that's the gospel. There's always two sides to three. It's hers, his, and the truth.
Truth. Yeah.
Always. So I'm just saying, my thing is the reason why I don't agree with TD playing. I just don't agree with TD playing the audio tape. That's I make it a point not to get personal. People's personal lives anyway. I don't discuss that kind of issue, and I just don't agree with him playing the tape, the audio tape. And I personally think that kind of information should be privatized anyway. It should. I don't know why they make that information public anyway. But anyway, with that being said, my thing with Xavien Howard is this: if any man is out there putting his hands on a female, okay, he needs to be dealt with. He needs to be dealt with swiftly and harshly. And as far as Xavien Howard is concerned, once the investigation is concluded, all the intel, all the facts are gathered, and they are presented to the Miami Dolphins. If it comes back that X has had a repeated history doing this kind of behavior, he needs to go. That's anybody. But I just don't agree. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tani.
And that's why I said once the investigation comes out, that our response should be, and correspondence to the findings of the investigation. But it's not up to us to to jump to conclusions. You feel me? But we all are going to have an opinion. But what I'm saying is that we as fans, we don't need to look at X as X the player. We need to look at him as X the man right now. Like, who is this person who's representing our franchise? Who is this person who is wearing our jerseys and our colors? And is that the type of person that we would want representing our organization? We saw what happened, once we had a locker room with a toxic, environment with the whole bully gate. I'm not trying to go through all of that again and having that stink and that stigma that, was, behind us. That's all we heard on TV. Yeah, bully gate, all this. We are heading in a different direction. And sometimes when that is the message and you have a vision, you have to stay on course. And sometimes it means that people have to be left behind if they are not doing the necessary things to make sure that they are able to be on the field on Sunday and off season and training camp. And they're not doing their due diligence. X should have never found himself in this position, whether she's doing it out of spite or anything. Sometimes you have to walk away.
Sometimes that's easier said than done, though. But I want Reason to respond before I give my final thoughts on it.
So a perfect example of walking away. Before I met my wife, I was with a girl on and off for about 10 years, and we had one really massive blowout in our mid-20s. And I can be a swordsman with my words. I can cut you, and I can cut you really, really deep, especially if I know you and everything about you. And I said some things that set her off. And she took a shot glass and she threw it and she hit me under the eye and she cut me open under the eye and she threw it so hard and it hit me so hard It ricocheted off my eye. I was sitting in my car, and she was standing outside my driver's side window, and it ricocheted off my face so fast that it hit the dashboard and then hit my windshield and cracked it, created like a spider crack. Okay. So you know what I did? I drove away. Like that, as heated as I was, and as much as I thought to myself, if this was a dude, you wouldn't be breathing right now. You're a woman. I was raised by women. I was raised by my sister and my mother. Never lay a hand. 2 things I was taught: never lay a hand on a woman, and always put your friends and family first. Those are 2 things I was taught growing up. So I walked away. Now, that being said, we don't know what happened before the altercation. We don't know what she said. Who's to say she didn't hit him, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, that still does not justify him putting his hands on her if he did, because, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. So that's not how you handle that situation, right? So on top of that, I compare this to Johnny Depp. Remember, everyone thought Johnny Depp was an abuser, and then it came out that Amber Heard was the one that's abusing him. And I saw a picture, she cut off like the top of his finger, and you see him lying on a stretcher. So we don't really know the situation, so I'm not going to sit here and say what the team should do. All I know is that an investigation is going to happen, and her claims in that phone call, or her alluding to, or her implying that this has happened before, those will never be the truth will never be known on those unless she documented it with pictures that are time stamped, you know what I mean? Or she went to a walk-in, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all just going to turn into hearsay. You can sit on whatever side of the fence you want on that, but we're never going to know the truth unless those are documented, because we don't know how long ago it might have happened.
Or he admits it.
Or unless he admits it. But he won't, because you know what? You'll lose if you admit that. And that's what it comes down to, these players. And I just want to say this, EM. Listen,
go ahead.
If you're with a woman and you're famous, and you're with a woman who gets physical with you, who eggs you, you basically gotta, just like friends, you gotta know if that woman's right with you, for you. Yeah. Especially if you are at that stature in society, whether it be an athlete, a politician, whatever you want to be. When you put yourself out there in the public that much, you asked, why did that tape leak? Because a lot of fans in this world feel like they're entitled to know everything about these people, because their favorite sports team is paying these people. So, you get to a point where you got to be smarter than this. And it goes back to Finsanity. And me and Finsanity were talking about this before we went live. She made a great valid point about the gladiator mentality, how they've grown up about it. But another thing is, when does CTE start kicking in for some of these guys? And how does their brain react to all the constant hits? Some, they become depressed. Some become angry. Some become violent. There's different spectrums to all this. So there's so much that has to be investigated and taken into context here that I can't really, place a solid opinion on all this, because I agree with what I finished EM's sentence. There's 3 sides to the story: his, hers, and the truth. You know what I mean? And I don't know his fully, and I don't know the truth. So
let me go ahead, Ian.
Again, at the end of the day, me personally, I don't even want to know what happened, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Like I said, that information should never be for public consumption. I don't know why they make that information public, but again,
I'm glad they do.
Well, I guess we agree to disagree on that.
I understand your logic.
You agree now, but wait, God forbid that it happens to you.
Well,
or youth insanity. Or
what do you say?
They make that information public.
Who's to say it never has?
Exactly.
I don't know that. I'm just saying.
First of all, let me address that, because you said God forbid it happens to you. My thing is like this: women,
hear me out, Quint.
Women and men, sometimes get in abusive situations, and God forbid if you actually stay, because if you think that if someone does it once, they already have it in their mind that they can do it twice. Now, whether it's happened to me or not, that is not for public record or for anybody's business. But I will say that I am the type of person that I have, my father has been in my life. and my father, we have such a bond in a relationship that if a man ever put his hands on me and I stayed, my dad would be there to drag me out that house. If he found out, he would be there to take me out.
But I have a daughter. I would kill that man. I have the mental fortitude to leave. I have the mental fortitude to leave. I don't care if it's millions on the table, hundreds of thousands on the table. I don't care if you're flipping burgers at McDonald's or if you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. You don't have time to leave.
I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%. I'm just saying that's not for public consumption. If all parties involved want to leak that information, that should be entirely up to them, not the whatever Dade County Police Department. That's
legal now. All that information is always leaked now, unless a judge holds it back.
I know. So, that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. I disagree with that.
You have to understand the argument on why that stuff is public.
Everything.
Well, the media has even gone to court fighting for things like that to be public, and here's why: you're using taxpayers' dollars to service those situations, so the people should be able to know about any and every news that's happening. That's how some people look at it.
I disagree with that 100%. Like I said,
no. Nothing's wrong with disagreeing with it. I get that.
I have seen individuals. An incident could happen. Okay, an incident happens, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody is lying, totally fabricated this story. It gets leaked out, and the family members of the alleged victim, take matters into their own hands and kill somebody. And it turns out the female made up the whole story. It was totally a fabrication.
Well, I'm gonna preface that by saying that most likely 9 times out of 10. Before it got out, if the person was running their mouth, I'm pretty sure they done told a mom, a sister, or a distant cousin or something, and it done got around the family.
Bro, come on. If somebody does something, to somebody, if it's worth the family going and literally taking a life, then that was gonna happen even if it didn't get out in the media.
Bro. No, it wasn't,
bro. Listen,
again. TD, look, we can sit up here and do it. I work for Tarrant County Sheriff's Department for 8.5 years, bro.
Okay.
We can sit up here for 2 hours and I can go by story after story, and I've got documentation to substantiate and shed light on this very point that I'm trying to make here. I'm just saying that should be privatized because it's so many different variables. When you leak that information to the public, it just heightens everything.
The point is, it's not leaked. It's public. It's public record.
But that's what I'm saying, TD. It shouldn't be public record. That's my point,
bro. Everybody's record is public record.
I know, and I disagree with that. That's what I'm saying.
But all we can do is go off of the spectrum that we have right now. I'm not disagreeing with you. I actually agree with that. People's crimes and business and arrest records and all that should be private.
Seen that multiple times. And again, it's not just a Dade County Police. It's in general. That stuff should be privatized and only made available to law enforcement and all parties that are involved. Period.
All right.
But again, that's a whole other issue.
So let me give my take on this thing, okay? Reason, you guys are 100% right in the regards of there's 3 sides to every story. His, hers, the truth, right? And that's all good. Me playing this clip, and I'll address that in a second, isn't to say she's right or she's wrong. It isn't to say that he's right or he's wrong. It's to inform the Miami Dolphin fans that we are paying a guy X amount of dollars, and this is a risk for us in the future. This is the type of thing. This is news. And the reason why I said that I'm glad that they released it, at the end of the day, it's the business I'm in now. Media. This is the business I'm in. This is news. Whether we like the news, whether we want to hear the news or not, it's news. So the reason why I played it is because I want to get context. If this comes out to be true, let's just hypothetically say, I don't know. Let's say a video emerges and bam, he does it, right? Mm-hmm. Does this audio not tell us more about Xavien Howard?
Agreed.
Let's say that he didn't do it, and it's proof, and he can prove that he didn't do it. Does that proof not tell us more about Xavien Howard? It's news. At the end of the day, whether true or not, it's a report that happened. He was arrested, and we're reporting on why. We're getting more details. We want to understand let's be honest. If you're a fan of Xavien Howard, you should want to hear it so that you can feel good about staying behind him, getting behind him.
No.
At the end of the day, again, this man can be 100% innocent. And even if I sat here and said, "Oh man, I think he's innocent," which I don't know either way. I'm not judging the situation. I'm not saying what she said is true, even though she sounds compelling. I'm not saying what he said. Well, he ain't saying nothing. But at the end of the day, this is information. I'm hearing what she's saying. I'm trying to decipher what actually happened in the situation. I'm not reporting it to determine guilt or innocence. I'm reporting it to get more information and let people hear one side of the story. Now, if he chooses to come out with his side, we would love that. But at the end of the day, what do we have to ignore her side just because we're not going to hear his? No, it's news and it's information. And furthermore, let me ask you this. There has been so many players that we said, "Hey, should we bring this guy in?" And almost everybody, "No, man, look what he did to this person. Why would I bring him in?" This and that. We base all kind of free agent players or players that ain't signed based off of their history. "No, we don't need to bring in that drama. We don't need to do this. We don't need to do that." And all of a sudden, we just don't want to hear about what's happening with him. We need to know if we're going to ever objectively make decisions about our roster and our future. How can we ignore any information, personal or just football related, about any player? Because what'll happen if we didn't hear about this and the Miami Dolphins cut? What would happen? Let me just finish this last point, bro. What would happen if we never heard about this, right? But it happened, and the Miami Dolphins say it was kept private. It was kept private. And the Miami Dolphins decided the only people who knew were the police department, him, her, and the Miami Dolphins. And they decided they found evidence that it was true, and we cut him in the summer. What are we all going to be doing in the summer? Talking right back down about our team. What in the heck were we thinking? How could we possibly be doing this? This is stupid. Why would we cut him? Oh, but if we hear that this is what happened with him, and then all of a sudden proof comes out and we know about that, we understand. Just like y'all said, if he did do it and it's proven he do it, then he needs to be dealt with. Then that means at some point you want to know what the verdict was. That means that you want to know what the verdict was.
You leave that up to human resources. I don't have nothing to do with that.
But you would be the same one on here complaining about us cutting him if you didn't know the reason why.
All games in here, man.
From a fan's perspective, I could care less about, as long as he's not out here harming anybody, killing anybody, as long as he's not Hannibal Lecter. I am not concerned about anybody else's personal life.
So if you saw a video of him knocking her out right now, you don't care?
Well, TD, what I'm saying is, bro, I would care. I said anybody out there, but again, what I'm saying is I don't want to know. I'm not going to say I don't want to know about it, but it's like people see we're in this social media era. You know, it's like the world is craving. They want to know it. Nothing is private anymore. Okay, that should be up to that issue that he has with her is between him, her, and law enforcement. Nobody else. So what I mean by when I say I'm not necessarily saying I don't want to know. I don't want anybody out here that's killing people and harming people or molesting children or anything like that. Obviously, but what I'm saying is from a fan's perspective, I don't want to know anything about. That's just me personally. I'm an extremely private individual.
I just feel like that's a cop out. You literally just said to because you just literally you're ignoring the scenario I just gave you. So you mean to tell me this summer comes, you don't know. Let's say you don't know. You don't want to know and you don't know. This summer comes and we cut Xavien Howard. What is EM's reaction?
Hey, well, he got cut.
Brother, you would lose it.
Come on.
You would lose it. Bro, you lose that one.
Hang on. You know the difference between me and you, TD? I'm not in the media business. So I'm not going to sit there and crave. I'm not going to sit here and let me backtrack. My thing is, TD, if he gets cut, of course I'm going to be like, well, damn, what's going on. But again, I don't want to if it's something that's domestic or something personal of that nature, I don't want to sit here and dig and put that on blast so the whole world can hear it. I don't have any interest in that. That's between him, her, and law enforcement. I judge every player. I try to judge every player from a fan's perspective, and that is dealing with them, their on the field abilities, period.
I understand. Hey, I understand that angle. I didn't necessarily get the full gist of all y'all been talking about, but I know it's got to be dealing with the Xavien Howard thing, right?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So the problem. Here's the problem. Here's the problem as I see it, and I think this is what everybody's alluding to. And Ian, I feel you, because from a fan's perspective, if you know the guy is doing things out there that just aren't quite right, gonna bring a black eye on the organization and things like that. No, you at some point you got to draw the line in the sand, and because they're in a business that is high profile and they're paid to perform at a high level, and they're on TV and it's broadcasted around the world, everything that they do at this point becomes public knowledge, regardless of how small or how big it is. And the problem with that is that we can't at any point go backwards and say, well, I don't want to know, because you need to, everybody else gonna have to know, because his paycheck, who he is, and his identity is linked to the organization. And the organization, when those guys sign the contracts, unfortunately, they sign a contract stating that they won't do anything to bring a black eye and issue to the front door of the organization. So, with that being said, I don't know the dude did it. I heard the tape. It's kind of tough, to listen to what she's saying and not feel a certain type of way, because I too came up in and grew up in, like Reason said, grew up in household where, the last thing you do, I don't care if she's throwing the kitchen sink at you, is hit a woman. You feel me? And I know to some people don't see it that way. You know what I mean? Some people say, you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. Some guys, I know some guys that I've seen them stand in front of women and say, listen,
me too.
You hit me, I'm gonna treat you like a man.
Era.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Different era, different time frame. You know what I'm saying? And across the board, I always say, anybody and everybody, you're innocent until proven guilty with me.
Absolutely.
But this is a woman that has 3 kids with him and a newborn now at this point. And that tape, I don't know what else she could gain from this other than saying, I'm living with a man that I'm deathly afraid of right now at this point. I don't care how much money he making, but that's what I'm hearing in the background is what she's saying. She's screaming for help. Like, somebody come help me in this situation. The guy that y'all love and the guy that y'all paying is not the guy that I live with on a daily basis. So this is twice now, right? Where his name has been brought up in a situation where more information is coming out about that whole arm grabbing situation in regards to the purse or whatnot. We don't know. And I feel you, Em. What happens behind his closed door, his home between him and her,
they business
is their business until she calls 911 and she brings other people in. Then at that point,
he made it everybody else's business.
Everybody else have business.
She brought in law enforcement, which was what she should have done. She didn't.
But she didn't bring in
the Miami Dolphin family.
Hold on. Yes, she did. What did she say in the audio? What did she say in the audio? She said in the audio, she said, he said, don't call because I play for you. She knows the ramification. She knows what's gonna happen.
That's not how it works,
No, that should not be for public consumption.
It don't even listen. Okay, so let's just say for instance, right? Let's just say for instance that let's just say he's guilty, right? And nobody, even the law enforcement people, they held on to it. They figured out everything about the case, and then they came back and they made a verdict on it. And Xavien Howard, at this point, is sentenced, right? Because the prosecutor wants to prosecute him. Either way, ain't no way around it. It's gonna get out. Because that becomes public record. The minute they hit him, right? Because you know this, the minute they hit him with anything of a nature, even if it's just probation, somebody at that courthouse is tied into everything these players are doing.
I agree 100%. All I'm saying is I don't agree that stuff should be for public consumption.
But she made it that way, yeah.
You have a problem with judiciary system then, because anything is public record. You can get arrested for drunk driving. It's public record. You feel me?
That was my preface, Finsanity. That's my whole point. I said that's not. I'm not making that a social media issue. Well, not so much a social media issue or a Dade County Police Department issue. That's just that's just federal law.
EM's going deeper with it. They need to change that law. It shouldn't even be, law enforcement shouldn't be allowed to release that information because that's a personal issue.
But that ain't gonna ever happen though, man, because
we get that.
The chances of that law getting changed, then they gonna go back, because then you got a situation where the law was changed where a guy could beat his wife, right? Beat her, drag her down the street, as long as he didn't leave his property. The neighbors could call the cops, and the cops couldn't do anything about it because if she didn't press charges, or no deal, ain't nobody leaving. But
my thing is, what's the upside of letting the world know about a private situation between a man and a woman? What's the upside to that?
Well, there's definitely an upside for the organization. You don't think the organization wants to know?
Hang on, TD. Well,
they might want to get. He might need help, man. He might need help.
That's true too. That's the biggest part.
Every organization, whether you Chase Bank, whether you're the Miami Dolphins, they have a human resources department within their corporation, and that's the law enforcement, if you want to call it law enforcement, of every company in America. Okay, that's a human resources issue. So all I'm saying is this: I just don't see the upside in a situation unless you're a witness to it. You know what I mean? Unless you sat there and watch everything transpire, I don't see the upside in issue goes down between a man and a woman. You just put it on blast and put it out there for everybody to consume. No, what's the upside of that?
Bro,
absolutely not.
EM.
Let's just move on.
You're a celebrity, bro. This is what comes with it. Well, there is no such thing as privacy anymore.
I understand that. I understand that 100%, but that don't make it right, TD.
Oh, hey, I get that, but at the same token, when you talking about running a football team, what we sit here and try to do all the time is talk about what's best for the organization. We sit here and try to figure out which players got good character that we should pick up, who's drama filled, who's this, who's that. We try to make those evaluations. We need to know everything we need to know about players, whether it's true or not. We need to know what they're going through. We need to know what they're dealing with. We need to know where their head is, their mind space, how they're handling injuries, all of that stuff. If we're gonna sit here and really dig
the minute they hit the NFL, their private lives are not theirs anymore.
I agree 100%.
It's ours.
I agree.
Hold up. My bad. When they are listed on Rivals and they get recruited to go to these top schools, it's a wrap. Because they have, they have even to accept those college scholarships that they accept, they have a conduct clause, conduct contract that they have to sign. So in the event they get in trouble, they do something against what's or actions detrimental to the team, all that stuff get reported too.
I'm just saying, I've seen both sides. I've seen both sides of the spectrum. I've had buddies of mine, when I worked for the sheriff's department, they get in an incident with their wives or their girlfriends or whatever. The girl just totally fabricates, makes up. I mean, man, you can write a better Hollywood script. And I mean, without the investigation being concluded, no intel gathered, the dude is gone and fired just based on her story.
So then he got a lawsuit then for wrongful termination.
Yeah, true.
He did. But again, you shouldn't have to go through that. And when they make this stuff for public consumption, issues like that, you know what I mean? That if you privatize these situations, a lot of that could be avoided. A lot of people wouldn't go through those scenarios. You know how long it took that? 3 years. He gets fired. He unemployed for 3 years. And his court case, 3.5 years his court case. 3 years of his life is gone for foolishness.
But you know what, EM? If you do privatize it, say that the law says that you cannot release that person's information or let it be known, you're going to have a lot of people for more than 3 years abusing their significant other, whether it's a man or a woman. Hold on, no. You didn't let me finish what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
You're going to have a lot of people basically not facing the ultimate ramification for. Let me give you an example. Say it wasn't public. Say that they have video evidence that he really did do it. He may still never get any jail time. He just may have at the end of the day, he might be on probation, X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, his employer may never even know. The NFL may never even know. If that's the case, if you're able to keep it private, do you think that's fair?
No. What I'm saying is, like I said, TD, every company has a human relations department within their company. That information, if your employer, if say for instance, once this all went down, she makes a call, this gets out, right? And they should only make that information available to those individuals if you're employed. You know, you're at your place of employment.
But that's not how. Well, you know, as soon as they make a call,
they're not. I understand the nature and the climate that we live in. I'm just telling you how I think situations like that should be handled within our country. That's all I'm saying. I understand the climate we live in.
So every time somebody do something, notify their employer.
You're married, right? EM, you married?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So you sitting at the house, right? Now, mind you, it's not there, but you sitting at the house. Well, actually, you on one of these with us. Your wife have a bad day where she go to Target, get into an argument with somebody. She come in the house and she just lay into you right now, just lay into you with, say, a pan inside your head, right?
That ain't gonna happen.
Hold on. I'm just saying. Hold on. I'm just saying.
With all that
right?
talk.
I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
Right?
Go ahead.
So, if the roles were reversed, right? If the roles were reversed and let's say the man was the victim as opposed to the woman, right? Then what? Should the rules be different or should it be the same? Nobody should be putting their hands on anyone, right?
I agree.
In the marriage, right? Or in a relationship, period, right? Keep your hands to yourself. Get yourself out of the situation, right?
Right.
So he had a choice, right? And here's all I'm saying. I'm saying he's innocent until somebody proved to me that he's guilty.
Right.
I still believe that.
That's all I'm saying.
I still believe that. But she has a side, and then there's also the truth.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, again, so I just want to be clear.
The law ain't changing, so we need to get past that.
I can tell you how many times, how many heated conversations I've had with, the Attorney General in Tarrant County. Anyway, that's a whole nother show. But look, so I'm clear. So these idiots in the comment section won't start.
There we go.
I am not. Listen. Nobody should be putting their hands on any female, and a female should not be putting her hands on any male. You should never. No situation should ever get to that point. So we're clear.
You know what's
Man, let me say.
You know what's crazy about all this was literally like 24 hours before this audio broke. Barry Jackson, the Miami Herald, put out an article, and the article covered the topic that. Apparently, like we heard yesterday, that we're okay on our receiving core. We like where it's going. We like what we have. We're probably not going to spend capital. But there was a note in it basically saying that free agency in the draft, we are eyeing a cornerback. And the names that I heard for free agency were Logan Ryan and Chris Harris. And then for the draft, I heard Damon Arnett, AJ Terrell, Trevon Diggs, and Jeff Gladney. Somewhere in the
don't go with Harris and
that's the name.
Harris.
That's the names I heard.
I'm not with them old dudes.
I'd rather bring in two of them.
That's why the draft is also seen as an option, right? With those young kids.
I can somewhat
waste some money on Harris for.
I can somewhat see.
Yeah, I'd want
Ryan
Simmons. I'd
because
want Simmons before I want Harris.
I can somewhat see Logan
my
Ryan
safety.
because of the.
Well, here's the
because
deal,
of the New England
guys. Here's the
connection,
deal.
but damn.
Here's what we have to make sure that we understand. We know that that report has some truth to it because we're probably going to be looking for a cornerback. Because at the end of the day, do you really see Xavien Howard at the end of the day not having any suspension from this?
He gonna have to do something. He got to serve some time. So
Wait until they gather all the intel.
even a little bit of but you know, come on now, let's be honest. Even a little bit of shake up that had with the whole arm grabbing because of the purse thing. You know what I mean? That got out too. There's gotta be I don't know. You know how they're sensitive. You know how sensitive they are to this whole thing though, bro.
I agree, but look.
So they might just do it just to prove a point.
I understand that. But look, he ain't even been convicted of anything. He hadn't even been. His trial hadn't even started yet. And
I'm not. I'm just telling you. You know as well as I do, bro. That in the NFL now, as soon as they're different. They looking at it like, listen, you need to prove to us that you innocent.
Yes.
See, it's the complete difference. Cause we paying you top dollar for a service, and if you gotta go spend some time with these people, we ain't gonna get that service out of you. So you gotta prove to us that you innocent.
And I hope the players, when they sit down at the negotiating table for the next CBA, I hope they address that same issue. You know what I mean? How they can somebody cannot get convicted of anything in a court of law, but the commissioner at his discretion can hand out punishment.
I don't agree with that now. Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I hope they address that, bro. I really do.
You got to understand that, but they will address that. But when it comes to domestic violence, they ain't even gonna be.
They gonna err on the side of caution.
And
they'll send you a letter later. They'll send you a letter later from Goodell apologizing. But again, they're gonna take the action first, and then I apologize later.
This any kind of issues of this nature should be dealt with accordingly. But again, everybody is entitled to due process. Everybody.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Let me say this to the individuals in the comment section. All right?
Move.
Oh Lord, Mr. Ballgame about to have one of those disputes. No.
I'm trying to get her to move, man. See that?
I thought you were playing Madden, bro. My bad. I thought you was online.
I'm trying to get her to move.
So let me comment to the people in the comment section, not the idiots like EM call people. I just want to put them on blast real quick. But let me say this, because people saying, "Oh, TD, you just hate X anyway. You glad about this happening?" I'm not glad about this happening. But I will say this, so I will feed into your ego and be a little bit messy. So I like whenever I tell y'all I'm about to be messy. But yeah, man, if this is true, at least we got a way up out of that contract. But anyway, let's move on to the next subject.
Ultimately, I know that's
next subject.
That's your ultimate motive right there. I already know.
I'm just doing that to mess with people.
I'm your true colors, bro.
I'm doing that to mess with people because that's how they feel. They think that I hate X like that. Whenever I keep it all the way 100 football, they want to think I'm taking it personal, that I hate the man. But it's all fine. It's fine. But anywho, man, we'll get off of the Xavien Howard topic, but I'm glad that we did talk about it because some good informative information did come from it. And we all do understand, for those who don't keep up with the Miami Dolphins and they rely on us to keep them up on it, at least you know what's going on. But outside of that, we wanted to have a quick conversation. I wanted to go around the room real quick. Hopefully, I'm gonna start with Mr. Ballgame this time since you're fresh in the building. What's your thoughts about the Super Bowl, man?
Ballgame.
Oh.
I'm a little disappointed, actually. Shanahan let me down, man. And not that I'm obviously. We all know where my allegiances lie, but
you sure?
The fact that he this is the second time now, man. Second time this dude has abandoned the run game and the core of what his team was known for being able to do extremely well, and he shot himself in the foot. And you go back through, you look at the game, and there was a specific point when things shifted, and he decided to go out there and put Jimmy Garoppolo, who has not been, one of the top passers in the league, in a bad situation when you had three guys still healthy to be able to run the ball and get back in. It's just a bad situation, man. I think the defense did all that they could do because that's a track team that Kansas City has out there. But eventually those guys too gonna get wore down. You know what I mean? Especially when and they did a bad job of not sending extra pressure. They just rushed with the front four and sat back and then gave Mahomes time to find guys running through the zone. The dumbest thing in the world, bro.
Well, you know what though, ball game when they actually did that, you saw what happened when they did send extra help. Mahomes hit Sammy Watkins on that big. I think that was the play of the game, to be honest.
Bro, in the fourth quarter.
That was man to man. That was a bad call too, because now you got Richard Sherman out there against a guy who's clearly faster than him.
Right. Exactly. But what I'm saying is, when they did bring extra help, they paid for it. And I tried to explain to TD.
They put him in a bad scheme. That was a bad scheme.
Hang on. What? He was playing bump and run. He was playing. He was in bump and run.
Yesterday you say he wasn't playing bump and run. Yesterday you was saying he wasn't playing bump and run.
Listen. I didn't say they didn't play bump and run at all. I said I was talking about from what their base scheme is. That's what I was talking about. So what I explained to you in the beginning when we had this initial conversation about how potentially the Super Bowl can unfold, I was trying to explain to you that the San Francisco 49ers, they run 68% of the time cover 3 zone-based coverage is what they are. And and I was saying, and my point was this is a good matchup for always if they could handle San Francisco's front four. Okay, now we saw there was a difference in the first half and the second half. The first half they couldn't handle them.
Bosa was everywhere.
Hold on. You said the first half they couldn't handle them?
Bosa was everywhere in that first half.
No, let's get this straight.
Yeah, that's the reason they were 10-10, because they were getting to it.
Hold on. Let's get this straight. The first half they couldn't handle them, and in the third quarter they couldn't handle them. That D-line did more damage in the third quarter than the whole game.
No.
Bro, that D-line
You know what? This is
hey, hang on. Let me finish what I was going to say. In my opinion, the difference in the ball game was in the end of the third quarter going into the fourth, is when Andy Reid he shifted to a more up-tempo game approach to their attack. And what that happened when you go no huddle like that makes it difficult to sub. Okay, San Francisco could not get their normal rotations in there in the time that's allotted. Okay, and they wore down. And so what happened was when they wore down, when they were not getting that consistent pressure with their front four, okay, Mahomes had more time to survey the field and he started to make plays. So what happened was hang on.
Lies.
So what happened was what are you gonna do? You just gonna let them sit back there and pick us apart? No, you bring extra help. And what happened?
That ain't what happened. That's not what happened.
Hang on. Can I finish? So what happened was when they did, and I told you, if San Francisco cannot generate the pressure on Patrick Mahomes with their front four, it's going to compromise everything they do from a scheme standpoint. It's going to put them generally when you have to bring help, when you bring 5, when you bring 6, that puts everybody has to man up on somebody. In San Francisco, again, 68% of the time they are base cover 3 zone team. That's the strength of their team. And so what I was telling you, what happened was that when that front four got tired, when they got fatigued, they had to bring extra help. And what happened was that those plays, the Tyreek Hill play, and that Sammy Watkins play that he hit over Richard Sherman were the 2 plays that made the difference in the outcome of that game, bro.
I think it's a little different. I see it a little different. They were up 10 points. They had gone up. And even after Kansas City had come down and scored that touchdown, what Shanahan did was, to me, gave the game away. He went shotgun, no runs to reestablish themselves to what they do best, and he gave the ball back on a quick quick 3 and out, and that killed them because then at that point, the defense was because Kansas City had to go. It took them 9 plays to score, and the boys was out there rushing. Now they come out the field. Now they right back on the field with 3 plays later, and then that was it. That killed them because that next drive is when they started implementing Damian Williams back into the fold.
Well,
now you got the run game coming. Now you got the run game. You got him out there on those swing passes and all that stuff to occupy bodies, but at the same time, your front four now, they wore down. That's what changed.
Game.
Yeah.
Ball game. I don't even think the defensive four were tired.
No.
The way I saw it was like this. You were right as far as San Francisco's offense. I'm not even talking about San Francisco's offense. We know where they lost it. They just got out of character.
Right.
They did none of what actually got them to lead in the first place, playing good sound football the whole game.
Facts.
Until that point, right? My biggest thing was on defense for San Francisco. I don't think that EM say, oh, they tired them out. That front four wasn't tired. That front four kept coming.
They did go to a no huddle.
Hold on. Let me finish. So, EM, I'll let you talk. EM. You said you were gonna let me go.
Go ahead.
This is what I saw happen on the defensive side of the ball. Yes, they win and hurry up, but the problem is instead of continuing to do your press man coverage or your press bail, whatever you want to call it,
they backed them off.
Instead, they backed them off 10 yards.
Yep.
The pass rush was still coming. The difference was on both of those drives, Mahomes would drop back and in 2 seconds sling it to a Tyreek Hill on a dig route, sling it to Kelsey on a dig route. He was getting everything underneath, and those guys were run up for another 6 yards.
That was early on.
Bro. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
The first drive, which EM is right early on, that's what got them within the 3 or whatever. Because the first play, 7-yard pass that went for 14 yards. Second play, 7-yard pass that went for 7. The third play, they didn't see it coming because they think they behind, handed off to Damian Williams. He gets the first. And everything was backed up. They left the first 10 yards of the whole game open at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, that's right. They were in backed out coverage though.
Even the deep ball that went real deep. Was it Tyreek Hill that caught that deep ball? He was wet.
Yeah, on the left hand side.
Even the deep ball, the defensive line was coming for him. What did Mahomes have to do? He threw that like a Hail Mary. He threw it on his back foot. The defense was coming. But what were they doing? What was San Francisco doing? Playing 10 yards off, playing the sticks, thinking that all the underneath was coming, which the underneath was coming, and then they stayed playing the sticks, and then the guy got behind them. That's what killed them on defense.
But TD, that is San Francisco's scheme. I keep telling you that,
bro. That wouldn't they scheme for the whole first 3 quarters.
Bro,
that wouldn't they scheme the first 3 quarters.
Stop it, man.
They
broke down after post game. They broke down exactly the San Francisco's approach to the Kansas City Chiefs offense.
Bro, you watch the game.
Hang on. The game plan was to give them everything underneath. That was the game plan.
Oh my gosh, bro, you're missing it. Like you said, hold on. Like you said, press bail, right? The thing is, when they were in press bail, what did they do? Mahomes wasn't going underneath because he saw press. And he always went, he kept looking down the field, and what would happen? The defensive line would get there. But when you're out of press bail, his first option is to look for the underneath. You can hold on. You see, you miscue things. I'm not debating that their plan was to keep everything underneath, but the look that they gave first showed that you're not going to get underneath, and then when they bailed, said, hey, the only thing you're going to get is underneath. So that got Mahomes in the head the first 3 quarters.
Right.
He wasn't looking for the underneath the first 3 quarters because all he saw was press. So then he waiting on the big play, and the D line was getting there. But you changed your whole game plan when you stopped pressing to take away his first look. What did Mahomes do in the shotgun in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, they went straight to a back
off coverage. Audible? How many times did he call? How many times are they ready to hike the ball? He already done called the play on the hurry up. He sees the defense backed up, and he telling them, go look at the fourth quarter field. He literally changing stuff. Yeah. He throwing 7-yard routes that go 14.
TD, I never said they played at 100% of the time. I said 68% of the time.
Bro,
they still could have played cover 3. They just didn't have to show. They just have to show it early.
Thank you.
So obviously, the objective is to give him different looks. You don't want to give a quarterback the same look 100% of the time. That's obvious. But
they gave it to him for 3 quarters and it worked.
No.
Can I
So this is what it came down.
Bro, they gave him the same look.
Go ahead, Reed.
This is what it came down to. Listen, this is what it came down to. I'm going to tell you right now, because everyone's going off about the defense, but the defense played into the offense and into a matchup, which I said before this game, the 49ers didn't want to get into. So TD and Ballgame are right when you watch it. Now, you're right. Watkins did win that matchup in man, but if you go back and watch that Tyreek, I'm pretty sure that was in zone.
It was zone. Yeah, the deep crossing route.
So hold on.
They weren't barely.
Hold on. Okay, that's great. I'm just sitting here saying they didn't bring so much pressure that they were constantly in man. That's all I'm saying. But they did. You did see them back off. Anyone who's watching saw them back off. And EM is right. They are a team that's known schematically. They depend on their front four getting pressure, not having to bring other people most of the time. That is what they're known for. So on top of that, ball game, 110% right. Kyle Shanahan, offensive coordinator at Atlanta when they lost.
Yeah.
So between the second half, that overtime, and now this second half, his teams have been outscored 52-0.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go beyond that. Let's go beyond that. You know what he did? By taking away the run, because we all know he's the offensive genius. By taking the run, he turned it into a matchup that I told everyone before this.
Didn't want to get into a shootout with him.
You don't want to get into Jimmy G versus Mahomes. And let me hit you with something. So in the last 12 minutes of that game, okay, Jimmy G was 3 for 11 for 36 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 2.8 passer rating. Mahomes was 8 for 13 for 114, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a 129.5 passer rating.
When it counted the most.
But let's take it beyond that.
Six of those 8 passes were wide open for 7 yards.
But let's take it beyond that. It goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than that because Kyle Shanahan should have known not to turn that in, because leading up to that point and throughout the whole game, Jimmy G was 1 for 9 when he was pressured for 20 yards, 2 interceptions, and he didn't complete a single pass that whole game that traveled more than 20 yards in the air. So you're seeing a quarterback being limited, and you take away the run and you put the ball in his hands. Now, I'll give him a pass on the Falcons because that was an MVP season for Matt Ryan. They were known for throwing the ball. So putting the ball, even though I don't agree with it, you should have put it in Devontae Smith's, into what's-his-face's hands, Devontae Freeman's hands, and Tevin Coleman when they were the duo. You should have done that. I don't agree with that, but at least you had Matt Ryan. You were seeing through the game that Jimmy Garoppolo was not producing what he needed to produce. So what
was Ryan Tannehill. In other words, he was Ryan Tannehill. That's who he was.
Time when you feel them on your heels, as a coach, you put the ball in his hands. That's coaching.
He was Ryan Tannehill. That
defense let Patrick Mahomes get in the game, and then Kyle Shanahan doubled up on it by putting the ball in Jimmy G's hands and turned it into, hey, you know what? Everyone doubts my guy. I'm going to show you why we paid him that money. And that didn't get you to the ball. That didn't get you to the ball. Mozart, Breda, Tevin Coleman, your committee got you to the ball. You stick with what got you to the ball.
I agree with you as far as not putting Jimmy G in that situation. But I don't necessarily think he was trying to prove to the world, oh, I'm a boy genius and all of that. No, I just think they saw the front that Kansas City was in those particular instances, and it's either what, you gonna try to run the ball in a 9-man front or what?
Nope,
Or you
you
gonna
do
throw
no
the ball?
reverse.
Or what's the alternative? To be honest with you,
You do those damn reverses.
In their last three drives, they ran 12 plays, okay? 10 of those 12 were passing plays. In the Atlanta one, their last three drives, because they went straight 3 and outs, three straight 3 and outs. So they ran 12 plays. They ran 12 plays, and Matt Ryan threw 9 times compared to 3. So this guy has Jimmy G out there in the Super Bowl throwing more than a guy who won an MVP. What are you doing?
No, but look, you got. Okay, again, like I said, it was more of what the front that Kansas City was presenting to them in those particular instances, I think. Because from a schematic standpoint, if you got a 7,
he was
8 man
missing
box,
wide open. He was missing wide. Look at when he missed that. Who was that? He missed on that.
He couldn't hit the broad side of a barn with a ball.
Man. But look at the pressure that Kansas City was bringing, because they were in desperation mode at that
Brother,
time.
he had time on that throw. Emmanuel had 3 steps on his corner.
I understand that.
That deep ball.
You got no deep ball.
You got to look at what the position that Kansas City was in at that juncture of the game. They were in desperation mode. They were down, so they had to bring. They were loaded up because they were anticipating San Francisco running the football. So what did they do? They brought 7, 8, and even 9 in some instances in the box.
Go watch that play. He's got tons of time.
Hang on.
I'm talking about that play. I'm talking about that.
I get it. But I'm saying from a schematic standpoint, if you're San Francisco, that's the proper route to go. That's the proper route to go.
I'm running that ball. You're up. Hold on. Hold on. When they threw that pick in the fourth quarter, brother, I'm running the ball down your throat, and I'm giving Mahomes they were up by 2 scores.
I'm not giving Mahomes a chance to get on the field.
You're up by 2 scores, and you just got to turn over.
I don't care if they brought the water boy out there.
You run the ball.
I'm running the ball. I'm putting all my linemen on the field. We're going to go.
I agree 100% with that. I would have done the same thing, but what I understand
bulldoze in it.
You got to look at the front that Kansas City was presenting to San Francisco during that critical point in time in the game.
You got to beat me.
From a schematic standpoint, the correct play was to pass the foot.
Bro, did you hear
the ball?
Did you hear what Frank Clark?
The guy hadn't been hot all game though, man.
Did you hear what Frank Clark said after the game? Did you hear what he said after the game? Frank Clark said, "Thank God they stopped running the ball because they were
That was actually Tyrone Matthews.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. That was Tyrone Matthews. Because if you look at it, they were averaging 5 yards a carry.
I understand that reason.
Stick with that, man. I ain't moving away from that. I'm just sorry. I'm not moving away from that.
Okay. So if they run the ball in an 8-9 man front, they run the ball and they don't get any, and they're not successful doing that. They run the ball regardless.
No, I
here's the thing though. Kansas City, even when you're looking at it, Kansas City. To me, while I'm watching it on TV, Kansas City had a couple stops on the ground game and at various points throughout the game, but they still weren't effective enough up front and stopping the run that I'm just going to abandon that altogether.
Like Tennessee did.
You know what ball game? But a majority, when they broke down the actual how San Francisco, see, people look at the yardage total and think that they were successful. San Francisco was successful moving the ball on the ground, but a lot of those run plays came from those reverses that they were given to.
Then run the reverse.
Hey, you keep running them.
Bro, you can only do that for so long before a team catches up to that.
Well, they never stopped it. They got to prove it.
But they never stopped it.
Yeah, but you know they're gonna be prepared. They've seen it 3 times in the first half. You know. The only reason why they were successful is because they caught them off guard. They were not anticipating that. That's why they were successful.
Okay, listen, I'm just telling you my mentality. If I get a pick off Patrick Mahomes with 12 minutes left in the Super Bowl and I'm up by 2 scores, I'm running the ball because of 2 things. If I put the ball in Jimmy G's hands like they did, he could potentially turn the ball over like he did.
I agree.
You're not putting the ball in Mahomes' hands. And
I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying from a schematic perspective.
Brother, and the reason why I'm running it is because I don't want to score. Give me clock and first downs.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I'm on your 20 or if I'm on your 10 and it's 4th and 1, I'll go for it because I'll give you the ball at your 9. And then I've killed
all. You got to go the whole field.
I'll go all the way up, and I'll just put it there.
At the end of the day, this game, in my opinion, was lost by the San Francisco 49ers coach.
Yeah.
We're not even mentioning on 2 minutes, a minute and 49 seconds left in the second quarter, and you don't even use a timeout. A minute and 49 seconds left, and you're in the Super Bowl, and you don't use a timeout, and then you come out with 59 seconds left and show that you're still trying to do something. Bro, that he literally took points off the board. They were actually progressing at that point to where it looked like the Chiefs may not even be able to stop them this game.
Wait, you talking about before the half? You talking right before halftime?
Yeah, it's a minute and 49 left, and they had 3 timeouts.
I agree. He got that Ryan Tannehill.
No, you know what it is. You know what? That's the thing, EM. You know what?
Whatever it is.
You know what that message sent to me? That message that was sent to me was there's under 2 minutes left, and you don't.
I do not trust my guy.
So then why is the ball in his hand so much in the 12th quarter that your last 12 plays, 10 of them are him throwing the ball?
But again,
I'm like, what's going on here?
But again, at that particular time, though, reason. At that particular time, again, okay. I agree with you 100%. I would have ran the ball. I would have ran the ball every down. I would have ran the ball every single down. I would have tried to burn off every second of that clock as I possibly could. But what I am saying is, when Kansas City came within 3, okay, and the momentum had clearly shifted.
Big time.
Okay, you're in a situation. You're in that situation now, so you have to make a play. You can't say, "Well, no, I can't. I'm not going to put it in my." No, you can't. You don't. Coaches don't think like that. You're in that situation. You have to make a play. You have to get first down. So if they're coming out and Kansas City is presenting a 7, 8, 9, in some instances a 9-man front. From a schematic standpoint, the call to make is to throw the football, and he had the correct call when he had Kittle that in route. He was wide open. Jimmy G just didn't see him.
No, even the one in the middle of the field where they got behind the defense and he overthrew.
I agree, but again, he was under duress. He had a dude right in his face. When he threw that ball.
So let me ask you a question, Ian.
I'm not necessarily saying from a lack of when he abandoned the run game, I lay that at the feet of Kyle Shanahan. But Jimmy G was in a situation to where he's paid $30 million for a reason. He had plays to make in that game, and that's why I always say, you see what an elite quarterback will do for you. Okay? That's what when Patrick Mahomes, as bad as he played, that for 3 quarters of that game, for 3 quarters of that game, when the plays presented themselves to him to tilt the outcome in the favor of the Kansas City Chiefs, he made them and Jimmy Garoppolo did.
Bro, why do you do that? Why do you do that, Em? You said if the play, bro, let me finish then so you can see what I'm talking about. Why do you do that? You say about an elite quarterback when the plays present themselves, bro. If they would have played that same defense the whole game, it would have presented itself the whole game, and he would have made those. He would have made those plays the whole game. But if they wouldn't have did that same defense, he would have never had an opportunity for those. Hold on. All I'm saying to you, Em, is what if the plays didn't present themselves?
TD, that's what I keep telling you. You live in that hypothetical world. Get out of it, bro.
No. It ain't a hypothetical world. We sat there and watched it happen, bro.
We saw how the game unfolded. He made the plays, and Jimmy Garoppolo did.
Of course, but you make it seem like that's what makes him special. Anybody given that opportunity can throw that 7-yard pass.
Oh, come on, bro. Stop, TD.
So are you saying the answer to that is no? The answer to that is no. Reason said he went 8 for 11 at the end of the game. You mean to tell me 7 of those 8 passes wasn't less than 10 yards and wide open? I'm just curious. That's all I'm saying to you. And furthermore, are you saying that not many other quarterbacks would have did that in the league? Because it ain't many elite ones. Not many other quarterbacks would have made those plays.
Absolutely. You see how you minimize? See how you so quickly minimize players for making plays? That is, like I said, the stuff that comes out of your mouth. Hang on.
Wide open receiver, every quarterback in the league should have made those plays.
But they don't, though, TD. They don't.
Because they're not presented.
Bro, stop. That's what I'm saying. That's what gets me so frustrated with you when you come out the stuff that comes out of your mouth. You so
Bro,
you're criticizing
these guys.
criticizing.
You glorify these guys when people make it easy for them.
You're criticizing this dude for making plays.
Bro, that ain't making a play. That's taking what somebody gives you. That ain't making a play. A play, when you make a play, hold on. Let me help educate you. This is when you make a play. When the defense don't give you nothing and you make something happen, that's making a play. That's ridiculous, bro.
That's
making a play, bro.
Are you serious?
Bro, you don't know the difference of making a play.
Ridiculous.
Man, stop that craziness. Stop that crazy. Making a play is if the defense don't
You know what? You know what? 80% of football is taking what the defense gives you, bro. 80% of football is taking. So what I'm saying is,
the difference with what we call elite is when they don't give you nothing and you still get it. When you still
did Mahomes not do that?
No, he didn't. He didn't take nothing they didn't give him.
Man.
He didn't take nothing they didn't give him.
How many
bro, how about you name a play? Name a play.
I'm getting to it.
Outside of the ones he used his legs on. I give him those.
The go route that he made, the completion that he made to Sammy Watkins up the sideline, okay? The safety had clearly shifted to his side. He dropped and he was under duress. They brought pressure. He put that ball only where his receiver can get it in stride, hit him in stride, and he made the play. How many quarterbacks elite in that situation?
Bro.
In the biggest game of the year, how many quarterbacks make that play?
Josh did it in the Dallas game, and our guys dropped it.
Stop, bro.
I want to clap for you right now. I want to clap for you right now. I want to clap because you named one play, but I bet you can't get to the second one in that game.
Stop, man. Okay, look at the play he made to Tyreek Hill, bro. Look, hang on.
In the zone.
First off, he was not
a defender within 15 feet of him when the ball was thrown.
So what? Are you gonna let me finish?
Jimmy V couldn't hit that to Emmanuel Sanders.
Are you gonna let me finish?
Hey, matter of fact, how about this? Tyreek Hill wasn't even on the run. He had to literally sit there and wait on it.
Hey, are you gonna let me finish? Are you gonna let me finish?
Yo, you're not gonna finish with that play. You might as well try again. You're not gonna finish. Say the defense didn't let up on that play and make it easy.
God, bro,
you cannot sit here and say Tyreek Hill didn't have a defender within this man. That wasn't a defender within 15 feet of Tyreek Hill when that ball was released.
You're exaggerating, bro. You're exaggerating.
Tyreek Hill was back there moonwalking.
Stop, man. Stop, bro.
Hold on. I just want to say he had. If you watch the play, he had a ton of pressure on his face. That was off his back foot, and that was 4 yards.
Off his back foot, a flick of the wrist. You can't even stop it. Hang on.
It's not that easy.
Nobody can make that throw. But guess what? It didn't have to be accurate. It didn't have to be accurate. See, no reason. No, you can't get that one because anybody.
Ridiculous, man. You're ridiculous, bro.
If pressure is coming.
You're ridiculous, man.
Oh my God, reason. You talk about off the back foot. Anybody could throw the ball in the air in a direction off their back foot. Now
44 yards on a dime,
bro.
44 yards on a dime. That's almost half the football field.
Hold on. Why are you saying on a dime, bro? The man sat there and waited on the ball. On the dime would have been on the run.
Well, on your back foot, that's a dime. How many people get hit straight off the back?
Bro, if you throw the ball in the air, there's no
footage. Go show me footage of a quarterback who hits someone in stride off their back foot, 40 plus yards.
Y'all are being real delusional.
I know, right?
Ridiculous, bro. Y'all are
bro. Have you thrown a ball 44 yards off your? Have you thrown
You're ridiculous, TD. You need to stop.
He got touched. That's how wide open he was.
You need to stop.
Yeah,
he's not going to make the zone.
And Mahomes got right in his face when he's throwing the ball.
Reason. We understand that he had to throw it off his back.
No, you don't. That's what makes it difficult.
I'm saying it's a harder throw. That's
No,
a
no,
hard throw to make.
no.
You guys who think you can
Reason.
make it when I know you
Reason.
can't.
Listen, that's how you different. Here's the
Reason, can
difference. Wait. Because Garoppolo did the exact same thing, but he threw it where there were two a safety and a cornerback in the vicinity, and it got picked. Mahomes threw it where there was no one around. Tyreek turned
There's a guy behind him and a guy in front of him.
Tyree had to turn around and Tyree had to turn around and locate the ball, didn't he?
Exactly. One and two. They want to find the Listen, no one doubts that guy arm strength. He's throwing the ball outside of the stadium. I'm not even talking him throwing to an open area.
There's guys.
That was a bad throw, and y'all know it. Don't glorify a bad throw. That was a bad throw.
He had to find him open. He found him open.
Listen.
A bad throw.
What? Because he saw the guy open. He saw him open.
Hey, I'm not even talking about. Let's not talk about the throws he made. Let's talk about the plays he made with his legs, bro. Extended.
Bro, I just said that. I said outside of him running, outside of the plays he made with his legs. I already said that. I'm talking about at the end of the third quarter into the fourth, outside of the plays he made with his legs, other than the Sammy Watkins one, everything was given to him. Easy. And all I said was any quarterback in the league could have did the same thing.
Then why did Jimmy G miss wide open guys? If anyone could do it, why was Jimmy G miss wide open guys? And he had better protection. Jimmy G had better protection.
Hold on. Let's get
Right block was in his.
Hold on. You come here and say Jimmy G's receivers were receivers?
What do you mean? That ball to Emmanuel Sanders, he was gone for a touchdown. And he
You mean
overthrew it.
with the two safeties when he got behind him for the end zone?
Yeah.
Yeah, he overthrew that ball, but Patrick Mahomes didn't have to make that throw.
Patrick Mahomes would make that throw if he had to.
He didn't. He didn't.
Because the opportunity presented itself.
He's wide open. You're saying, hold on. No, your whole argument is he took what was given to him. That was given to Jimmy G. So when that was given to Jimmy G, if that was given to Jimmy G, why couldn't he take it?
My argument was the 8 out of the 11 throws, the 8 out of 11 completions. I said this from the beginning. Y'all trying to change the narrative. I said the 8 out of 11 completions, 7 of them were less than 10 yards, and all 7 of them were. He made the play. I know that. What I'm telling you is, bro, I'm not arguing with you about that. What I'm talking about is any quarterback could have made those 7-yard passes.
No, that's not true.
Any quarterback. No defender on him.
Lamar Jackson didn't.
Ryan Tannehill made every short pass. Yeah, he did. Don't get me started. You're the same person that believe Patrick Mahomes should have won the MVP. Out of here,
when Baltimore played Tennessee, Lamar Jackson could make the throws. And that's MVP of the league.
You know Lamar
MVP of the league, bro.
Lamar can't make them throws.
Exactly. We already
Stop it, man.
Lamar missed throws right there in the playoffs, bro. Like, I mean, he had wide open receivers that he was overthrowing and throwing way out wide.
That's what I'm saying. Teams saying it's easy to make them throws. Are you serious, bro?
What I'm saying to you is the quarterback who know how to throw the ball, which is the majority of them in the league, they all gonna make those throws given to them. Easy play. Just all around here crazy guy making 7-yard passes, easy play.
Just like you
Get out of here with that crazy.
Just like you criticize 2 or 4 years straight.
Just like Damian
No,
Williams.
hold on. I just went through every drive of the fourth quarter. Every drive. I went through every drive of the fourth quarter. Only 3 of those 8 completions were under 10 yards.
No. Let's get this straight. Make sure you're looking at the stat, not how many yards it went, how many it was thrown. See, I ain't talking about
2 of them were 9. 2 of them were 9. One of them was 1. One of them was 1 for a touchdown, and then everything else was 14, 40, and in the team.
Reason you're counting a 7-yard throw that went for 9, a 6-yard throw that went for 17. I'm talking about how far he had to throw to a wide open guy.
That is ridiculous, TD.
Bro,
We all watched the same game. Tyreek Hill ran up 7 yards, turned around, caught the ball, ran another 4. We watched
So
it.
Are you serious? Wow, you're putting it in you put your receiver in a position to get some yak, and you're blamed for that.
Hold on. Let's get this straight. Let's not talk.
Yo, you keep moving the goalpost, brother. You ain't winning this one, buddy. You ain't
Y'all
winning
are arguing just to argue. I ain't say nothing. Hold on, let me get this straight. I didn't say nothing was wrong with what Mahomes did. That's y'all problem. Hold on, let me finish then. Y'all take offense to everything I said. All I said is stop using the word of that's what makes him elite. That's all I'm saying here.
What else do you have to judge to make him elite?
You're the only person I know who doesn't think he's elite.
Any quarterback.
Or that argues.
I know.
You're the only person I've ever heard that
nothing
argue.
wrong.
Stop,
He
man.
did it for the record, ladies and gentlemen. For the record, Mahomes did nothing wrong. If I was the quarterback or any quarterback, if he played for Miami, I would ask him to do the exact same thing Mahomes did.
Bro.
He did nothing wrong. That's why I don't know why guys are arguing with me. All I'm arguing was the original fact that EM always says that's what makes him elite. That ain't what makes him elite. Any quarterback should.
Hey, listen, TD, hang on. I hope your New Year's resolution was to get your behind in that film room, bro. This year.
You don't want, bro. You don't want to need to
been
fix
your
your
New
TV.
Year's.
You don't want to need to fix your TV.
That should have been your New Year's resolution to get your behind.
You don't want to need to fix your TV.
Your buffoonish narrative. Get your behind in that film room.
Bro, you need to get rid of them bunny ears on the top of your TD because obviously you see stuff in VHF.
Stop it, man. Stop it.
You obviously still got the bunny ears because you can't use nothing you watch on the TV.
You sitting up here criticizing them for making plays.
Antennas. Something.
Criticizing. The man just went out here.
Something ain't working, bro.
The man has
I don't know
just
what you
went
mean.
out here and won the
Seeing
Super Bowl.
hearing.
The man has just went out here and won the Super Bowl and became the Super Bowl MVP.
Nah,
you're wrong.
Damian Williams was a Super Bowl MVP to me.
Hell no.
Yeah, it was Damian. It was Damian. The first downs alone, that guy got a lot.
Damian Williams was the first MVP.
He got a lot
Not
of
Pat
key
Mahomes.
downs.
Hey, listen. So we're clear. I am not minimizing Damian Williams' contributions by no means.
Kept
But
the drives alive,
but
brother.
hang on. But when you're comparing his plays to the plays that Patrick Mahomes made, what plays were more impactful?
Damian Williams.
Are you kidding me?
Damian Williams.
Stop!
Bro, he was the only reason they were in the game.
Well, if you go watch a lot of those scoring drives, a lot of the key first downs on third down are Damian Williams keeping the drive alive.
I'm not minimizing.
7 first downs reason.
Yeah, I believe that, bro. He had 7 first downs, 107 yards, and he had a touchdown. That's good enough for me.
Again, no one's minimizing.
2 touchdowns, reason.
Yeah, he called one. He called one.
Mahomes, hey, listen. Mahomes, the plays that he made were more impactful than what Damian Williams, his contribution was.
To you,
Damian Williams is huge, brother. I'm not with you on that.
Stop it.
I'm not with you on that. Mahomes is for those stats I threw you out for the fourth quarter. Those stats I gave you for the fourth quarter. That's the only saving grace and the only crutch they can lean on. But those 7 first downs, the 2 touchdowns, 107 yards on the ground, I got to give it to Damian.
Hey, where was Damian Williams at when they went down 10 points? Where was he at there?
He the reason why they were only down 10 points.
Exactly.
Hold on. Let me get this straight. Reason, watch this. Watch this. Let me answer that. You know where Damian Williams was when they went down 10 points? Mad at Patrick Mahomes for ruining his work with them interceptions. That's where he was. Bro. He was running that ball down the field and Mahomes was turning it over. That's why y'all got down 10 points. That's why they got down 10 points.
Listen, I'm not arguing. I don't want this debate to make you so people will think that I'm trying to minimize anything Damian Williams did in that game. I got much respect for him, much love. But all I'm saying is, I think you have a legitimate argument. You've got a valid argument if you want to give him the MVP. I get that. But I'm just saying, when you're comparing his contributions and Patrick Mahomes' contributions, Patrick Mahomes' contributions were more impactful in influencing the outcome of the football game. That's all I'm saying.
So that goes back to my original argument. Patrick Mahomes' contributions came off of everything that was given to him easy underneath.
Well,
Damian Williams had
easy, bro.
Damian Williams had to go take everything he took. He had to literally look like he was out of bounds, stop on the dime and shake some people. Damian Williams called out. Damian Williams made plays where you thought the play was over, and he still.
Nobody's arguing that. TD.
You get Patrick Mahomes outside of those few runs.
Nobody's arguing that.
That looked like he was carrying the team. Bro, throwing to a guy 7 yards wide open ain't carrying the team. You could argue that the receivers stopped very nice.
We saw Lamar Jackson be placed in a similar situation with his team, and he could not make the plays. Ryan Tannehill, all the quarterbacks that didn't Ryan Tannehill placed in a similar situation where the majority of the responsibility was placed on his shoulders. Why couldn't he get it done?
Bro, that's not true.
Hang on. When they took the run game away from Ryan Tannehill in Kansas City, like I told you what would happen.
Hold on.
Why did he not make enough plays to
I got you. I'll answer that. I'll answer that easy. I'll answer that easy, EM. Watch this. You see the difference between taking away an element from the Ravens in the and taking an element away from Tennessee? You sitting here acting like they took the run game away from Patrick Mahomes. You sitting here making it seem like they forced him to win the game. They were still running the ball down by 10.
Okay, that's part of it. Hey, credit.
I'm lying. I'm writing a fake narrative.
Credit to Andy Reid.
Stop making this. I don't care. But don't say it's Patrick Mahomes. Credit it to Andy Reid. Stop writing the fake narrative trying to make it seem like he did something the guys didn't.
Stop, man. I'm saying
they didn't abandon the run. They relied on Damian Williams to bail them out.
His contributions, his Patrick Mahomes' contributions were more. He influenced his contributions influenced
fourth quarter.
His contributions gave them more of a favorable influence than
Damian Williams did.
Damian Williams did, bro.
Damian Williams did.
No, I'm sorry, bro.
Here's what
you're ignoring, EM. You're ignoring all the work that Damian Williams put in going down the field.
The dynamic of all this, the crazy dynamic of all this, EM, is for the first 3 quarters, we saw perhaps Mahomes' worst outing in the NFL. But for the fourth quarter, even if they were short throws that got yak, we saw the numbers and the quarterback we expected to see that whole game in the last 12 minutes. You
know what? That's why they played 4 quarters. That's why they played 4 quarters.
But I'll say this. If Tannehill was on the San Francisco 49ers, Tannehill would be a Super Bowl champion.
Yes, sir.
You are. Stop.
Yes, sir.
Because he would have made the throw.
He would have made them throws.
He would have made the throws that Jimmy did. He's better than Jimmy. He's better than Jimmy.
Oh, hell no. No.
Bro, Jimmy is the poor man's Tannehill if he was Italian.
You better back that because EM gonna be mad at you for the whole year, man.
No.
See, Tannehill, what have I always said? Tannehill is above average, but Jimmy G is average.
No,
Tannehill wouldn't have missed that deep touchdown. He wouldn't have missed that deep touchdown.
He probably would have hit that.
No, I doubt it.
I'll give him that. Hey, come on, bro. Tannehill's deep ball got progressively better every year because that's one thing he did try and work.
How many throws did he miss in Kansas City against that same defense? How many throws did he miss in Kansas City? He missed plenty.
Hold on.
He missed plenty.
Hold on. So you're sitting here saying receivers were open all over the field when Tannehill played Kansas City?
Did you hear me say that? Did you hear that? Now, did you hear me say that?
Because you say how many throws did he miss? He didn't miss throws.
Did you hear me say they were open all over the field? I did not say that.
Okay, well, the answer is he didn't miss throws.
What I said was when the plays were there for Tannehill to make, he didn't make them. That's all I'm saying.
What play was there for him to make?
There was plenty of plays, bro.
TD, didn't he have a huge deep throw against the Ravens that he made?
Yeah, absolutely. But reason I'm about to destroy EM again because he with this ridiculousness. He's sitting there saying right now that when the plays were there for Tannehill to make, he didn't make them. What plays were there for him to make that were wide open?
Who said wide open, TD?
That's what
Well,
we're
we're talking about the Emmanuel Sanders. I'm talking about the Emmanuel Sanders. Bro. I'm saying he would have made that Emmanuel Sanders.
So what you're saying is that, bro, whether they're wide open or not,
Hey, they can't hear you, bro. You're yelling, man, and it's distorting, bro.
Listen. Whether they're wide open or not, there were plays to be made, and he did not make enough of them to influence the outcome.
He made no plays that were wide open. Okay. That's my point.
Who said wide open, TD? Who said anything about wide open?
I did. I said Tannehill would have made that Emmanuel Sanders throw.
Giving the guy credit for making plays where all of them were wide open. You're saying one of them didn't have wide open, but you still got to make
you said you really think Tannehill on the biggest stage, you think if he was placed in that exact same situation, he would have completed that ball, bro? Really?
Because of the step.
Stop.
Because Sanders had like 3 steps on his man and Jimmy had time on that. Yes. If we're talking the lines broken down and it's tight man coverage, I'm not going to sit here and confidently say he makes that throw.
Well, you know what?
I think Tannehill makes that throw.
You know what? I emphatically disagree.
I think Tannehill.
We don't already know.
I think Tannehill would be better in a Kyle Shanahan offense.
Hey, but it's just the thought of Tannehill having a ring that hurts him. That's all it is, man.
No, Tannehill is an average quarterback, bro.
He's above average.
I told you the only way a player, an average quarterback at that position can get to that level is that you have to have some other historically great aspect of your team. I told you that. And what did I tell you when they play a team? The further you get in the playoffs, when defensive coordinators start to take things away from you, okay? What happens? When you take the running game away from the historical element to his team, when you take that away from him and the majority of responsibility to influence the outcome of a football game falls on that quarterback, what happens? He didn't get it done. Period. And it unfolded. We've been arguing about this for a year and a half. And everything, just like last year in the Super Bowl, how everything unfolded, the same thing happened with Tannehill against Kansas City, and the same thing unfolded, how this Super Bowl unfolded. The exact same scenario.
Bro.
So I'm going to drop the mic on that one. You have no rebuttal for that. You cannot argue that. If you argue that, you just argue just to be arguing, bro.
Bro, it's different elements, and you continue to ignore it because when you don't like a guy, no matter what, you go all out.
I am objective.
No matter what, you'll go all out for him.
I am objective. I call it down the middle. I call it straight as fade.
Come on, man. That ain't the case, man. We'll move on, man. Because
you need to. You need to.
It's all right. We gonna teach y'all. And by the way, EM. Tell your Spurs to pick it up, man. I just wanted to say that.
Hey, you gonna go there?
Yeah, I'm just saying it. Hey, if you start arguing that, then we know you ridiculous.
You gonna go there, TD? Really? Okay.
Hey, they ain't going there. But anywho, I want to hear Sanity, if you don't mind. I want to hear your thoughts on free agency. What do you expect to happen coming up?
Let me go to my notes because I have notes. Okay. So like I said earlier, I would like for us to, address this offensive line aggressively. I know there's a lot of skill position guys out there that, we want to look at, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But we need, to protect our quarterback, and we also need to have the ability to run the ball, because we all saw how important it was and how it got a lot of teams, to places we didn't think or expect them to get, as far as they did in the playoffs. Even me, shockingly did not believe, that the Titans were going to go as far as they did, but they did it with their ability to run the ball. Now you also have to be able to protect your quarterback too. So like I said, with, Dallas, they have a very expensive offensive line. They can run the ball, but they can't protect Dak, to save a lick. So you have to have, a good mix. You have to be able to be versatile and be able to do both. So I was looking at a lot of, a lot of the offensive, linemen that are going to be available. And there are quite a few guys, especially there's quite a few young guys too. I know a lot of people were saying earlier that, they wanted to be young. So I think we need at least 2 because you want to be able to also fulfill other needs too. But I think this is the first step of us getting to where we need to be, next year and going forward. I don't know how Reason is going to think about this because the wide receiver position, right? We're very small in the slot position. But a guy like Robbie Anderson, who's, 6'3", I believe, and he runs a 4.3, I think him with Devontae Parker and Preston, now you have all big guys who can switch out because Robbie has played inside and he has played outside. Devontae can play inside and outside. So now you don't know who's playing X, Y, and Z. And we have the ability to, match up wherever we want on the field and to, expand our offense even more. As far as the running back situation, to me, I do not think Laird is the answer. Mark Walton is not coming back. And I don't know where we are going to be at, with the other guys that we have on the roster.
You say Balazs. Don't even say it.
I didn't even say the man's name because, listen, when you average
Mr. 1.8, Mr. 1.8, Mr. 1.8.
Pro Bowl Balazs.
Yeah, Pro Bowl.
Stop
The
hating.
only
Stop
Pro
hating.
Bowl he knows is if he takes a Sharpie and he writes Pro on his toilet bowl.
Just like Pro Bowl Tannehill, y'all said, stop it.
No,
This
you're
ain't
wrong.
gonna happen. Stop it.
But of course, we are gonna want an edge guy because Clowney's coming out and Grockley's coming out, even Vic Beasley now.
That's who I'm hearing. That's who I'm hearing a lot about the past couple of days. That we're tied to is Vic Beasley.
But I'm of the mindset that we have the money going into the draft. We should be able, if we are not going to select a quarterback to shop that 5th pick, we should have, because it's not like our defense was too far off. They were formulating the chemistry without X playing, which is crazy when you think about it. And our offense, Laird was being productive more in the pass game than what the other running backs were able to do. But he's not the answer. We're not going to sit here and say that. So we have to put it in place to where we're like, okay, where we all 5 of us can sit here and say, you know what? Boom. Free agency's done. April's coming upon us. This is what Miami should be doing in the draft, where we're not questioning like, oh, well, how are we going to fulfill this need? You have so much money to spend. If you don't get, your priority guys and you don't go, bid for them aggressively, then we're going to have, a serious problem. I do not believe in overpaying, but I also do not believe that at this point, the fan base needs to see a course of action. We need to see a vision and we need to see where this team is trying to lead us because Brian Flores, you showed us you can develop. I believe you bring some veteran talent in because we were so young last year. But even with being young, you saw how these guys' heart and passion for this game grew and how they became even more competitive. And if you bring some guys who really know this game and understand the tendencies of other guys in this game, I think we have the ability to go out, be competitive. The AFC East is not going to be, as strong as it has been in the past few years where we're looking at the giant of the AFC in our division. You feel me? So let's go out there. Let's try to get it. Let's get some offensive linemen in here that are young. I do preface by saying that are young that can help, develop us to have a run game and pass protection. That's what I'm looking for. If we go out and the first day we get a defensive lineman and some offensive linemen, I'm happy.
I don't think wide receiver will be addressed at all.
I think I'm going to try and restructure.
Yeah, but I just do a name out there.
Well, from what EM's identified with the size in this scheme that's coming over from New England, Robbie Anderson would be more of the ideal guy than a Jakeem Grant in our slot because he can also.
But you got. I told y'all you got Matt Collins. Remember that name?
I know.
I'm telling y'all.
I'm not banking on that, but I think I think edge. I think, like I said, I've been hearing Vic Beasley a lot these past couple of days. He's also a guy you can line up on outside linebacker.
I think he'll be a lot cheaper than
exactly because of the edge. I was just gonna say because of the edge market. You know what I mean? What we were talking about with Ngakwe and
definitely cheaper than Clown.
Yeah, it's gonna fall down. And I think and he's a versatile guy. I think a guard. I think a guard and a tackle should be top priority. We've talked about Conklin since I joined this panel. I've been kind of banging the drum about a guy like that. And then
Conklin.
I would take a guy like Andres Pete or Tooney because Tooney's comes over from the Patriots and the familiarity. I don't. Is
it familiar anymore with Chain bringing his own?
What?
Is there familiarity?
No, I said familiarity with the coaching, like with Flores and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And a guy who I would break the bank on, the one guy if he hits the market, and he's 26, I would be throwing the bank at Justin Simmons.
Okay.
I think we need to get
Broncos.
Yeah,
I saw where they gonna franchise him though.
Oh man, that's the guy.
That would be that. Oh yeah, him. Man. Him and Joe Tooney would be my two ideal targets.
Yeah. I like Tooney
I would
a lot.
throw the bank at.
I like Pete. Don't
Joe Tooney and Simmons, but they're going to franchise Simmons. I saw that. I saw several articles talking about how the Broncos were going to franchise him. But Tooney is a real possibility. Him and Conklin, as far as the offensive line is concerned, Conklin from Tennessee, I would prioritize him and Joe Tooney. And that would, again, you have him at right tackle. Now, I get a lot of people, the fan base is kind of divided on, Jesse Davis, but he's serviceable at the guard position. He's serviceable. He's proven that.
Yeah.
So I would sign Jack Conklin, and I would kick, Jesse Davis back inside. I would sign Joe Tooney, and I would look to draft a left tackle high in the first round or high second round, and a center.
And I would actually go for another guard because, like I've said, between the 3rd and 5th, I've said this I think last stream, there's going to be guys, you know what I mean, that could be first day starters. Like I go back to this name. I love this kid, Shane Lemieux. You know what I mean? There's guys that are going to be there. So because I think eventually, brother, if we build the O-line like what you're saying, now we've already identified where the weakness is going to be. That's going to be Jesse Davis, and we're going to have to replace that eventually.
Man, I hope we can get a guy like Conklin.
But you got to look at Jesse Davis has improved.
I know, but I think he's the ideal back. I think he's the ideal next guy up that you sub in or steps in if an injury happens.
But you don't need him to be. I mean, ideally, we want as many Pro Bowl players playing at that level as we can. But as long as you're just serviceable, he just can't be. The Dallas Thomas horrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he can be serviceable. We can, I think if we take that approach, immediately our team is from a win perspective, that'll guarantee us a minimum 3 more wins on the season, I think. Because we will have a presence of a run game. And look at how many games, every game this year we went into, our offensive game plan was one-dimensional. They didn't even have to worry about the run game.
Mm-hmm.
Whether any kind of front that we faced, teams were just like, man, they at times, bro, they weren't even worried about the running game at all. So just think, if we just get a 3.5 yards a carry, if we can get that kind of production, how improved our offense will be. And again, that would help if I keep telling y'all.
That all starts up front though. So.
And again, and that'll help with the with our pass protection issues as well. I'm a firm believer that a lot of our issues starts because of the lack of a presence of a running game, because we were constantly in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 and beyond. Okay, and teams don't have if the running game, if they don't have to worry about the running game, if they can make you one-dimensional, all they have to do is just pin their ears back. That alone, that scenario alone right there is the root of the majority of our pass protection issues. But if you have a running game where it's 3rd and short, anything like 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 2. Okay, we're a team. They have to. If we have a presence of a running game, that'll put them in a situation where they have to prepare for the running game, as opposed to just not worrying about it at all and pinning their ears back and going after the quarterback. That alone will help with the pass protection issues alone. So if we get that alone will help, and then if we get quality guys up front, man, I'm telling you, our offense with the skill position players that we have, everybody's numbers, the offensive production will drastically increase. Day one.
Listen, all these games that we still could have won, I want to hear from y'all. What is a realistic? If we get the draft right, what's a realistic record for next year?
10-6.
Hey, Nate.
Anywhere between 9-7, 10-6.
Hey, Nate.
Just 8-8 a year.
I've said before 7-9 to 9-7. 9-7 would be a massive win. I said 500 would be even a massive win because of the step. I mean, that's a 3-win.
A lot of teams in flux though, even though they're on the schedule. I mean, a lot of teams still going.
I would say
we have a hard schedule next year too.
Again, do the game in Mexico or is the game in London? I know we have to go somewhere next year.
Yeah, I thought the announcement was coming today after the other game got announced.
Man, I got 19-0 on the season, man.
There you go.
Hey, Nate.
That's what I subbed you when you predicted the Super Bowl. I was like, this guy.
Hey, every year, Super Bowl every year, baby. Next year, Super Bowl.
That was 2 years. Tannehill's last year when you predicted that.
Man, hey, y'all gonna look up and we gonna sign Tannehill on a 5-year deal as a free agent.
I wish we would.
Yeah, me too.
I'd sell those season tickets so fast it wouldn't be funny. Jesus.
Ball game. You think it's realistic that we might target a corner though in free agency?
Yep.
I mean,
absolutely. Byron Jones on his way, bro.
I think we're at least drafting one if we don't sign one.
Oh, we're gonna draft.
I think
definitely draft one.
They're gonna get Byron Jones. They're gonna draft the corner, and then Nick Needham probably gonna be on the practice squad. But
did you see that new off-season promo video they put out? Nick Needham was actually heavily featured in it, and what's crazy is who was absent from it. It was like 2 minutes, and Fitzpatrick's not in it. I was like, "Whoa!" They're leaving the room open so they can slide 2 in there after the draft.
Xavien Howard wasn't in there either.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Would you guys sign Leonard Williams, the defensive tackle? Would you guys?
No,
Leonard Williams.
I think he's better suited. I don't think he'd be the ideal scheme fit. He's better suited for a 4-3 scheme. I think, not necessarily a 3-4. I don't think.
How much do you think he's going to command?
Well, this isn't his first big contract.
I don't know.
When you're getting up there in age, you got to get.
Where you gonna play him? You already set. You already
change things, Ian. Like,
do what?
You acting like things don't change. Like,
what?
You can change things based off of your personnel. Like, you don't have to just have one set option.
Nobody's saying that, but if you already got guys, if you're already you're in a base 34 scheme, and you have guys from from an athletic profile that suits each position on your defensive line, okay? Why would you invest? You already have 4 guys that are legit, okay? You're gonna go and that dude's gonna command what, 15, 16 million perhaps. You know what I mean? And again, I don't even think he's put. I haven't seen him as far as he's been in the pros. I don't even think he has experience playing in the 34. So he's been in a 43 scheme his entire career. So you're gonna make a projection and hope that he can come in and be successful at the responsibility that will be placed on him that he hasn't put on tape since he's been in the NFL.
What I feel like is instead of Christian Wilkins getting doubled all the time, you need to give him an inside partner who creates an inside push. So that's why I just put his name out there, because at the end of the day, we're talking about cornerbacks, having someone to complement X, and we need a safety because they're talking about G5 being released and all that. So that's all I'm doing is throwing out names. I mean, I wrote down
a better fit would have been Michael Pierce, Danny Shelton, a player like that, that are prototypical nose tackles. Those would have been better, in my opinion. I'm sorry.
Listen.
Go ahead.
Who, Phins? Listen. So let me ask y'all this. This is because we're about to get ready to wrap it up because it's coming up on midnight. I want to ask y'all this last question for the night. What are your biggest concerns going into next season? We'll start with ball game and work our way around.
Biggest concern, man, is without shadow of doubt, continuity on that offensive line. I think because how long it takes to actually get true chemistry built on offense, it takes a little longer to get that than it does on defense. So I'm not overly concerned about defense. You can plug and play guys. If a guy don't work out, you can plug another guy in, type of thing. On offense, those guys have to be really in tune with each other up front on that offensive line, and they got to trust each other. And a lot of that comes with just time. Defense always comes around and is ready to go a lot quicker than offense, because cover 3 is cover 3, cover 4, cover 4 quarters, palms, all that stuff. It's all the same. It don't change. All you do is change the front. But offensive line for me, man, if we don't kill that, I don't think it matters much about anything else. Truthfully, we just have a whole bunch of flashy rims on a beater.
I think continuity as a whole on the offense. That's a whole different coaching staff coming in.
Listen, a dig route is a dig route. A corner is a corner. Post is a post. A comeback is a comeback. But if the guy ain't got time to throw it, it don't even matter.
Yeah, right.
So if the offense, it starts with offense. If we can put a product out there that really and truthfully can punch people in the mouth and establish a run game where people have to respect, then we'll be fine. We can get back to playing football. But
then I'm curious, then, Mr. Ball Game. So then, do you feel like it's unrealistic to expect for it just to be okay right out the gate?
Oh yeah, it ain't gonna happen right out the gate.
Are we being unfair with our current O-line?
No, those guys suck.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Here's the thing. So in the same form and fashion that I think it was unfair. I think it's unfair for quarterbacks. I think it's also unfair for any of the offensive players over there as well, because Shane, now you got new terminology all over again. Like I was saying, these guys come in with these elaborate, over the top, long 20, 15, 20 word play calls, but it's all it's like starting all over from scratch, and nobody has it harder than the quarterbacks. The difference is offensively up front, Shane Gaylor does a lot of things. I know without a shadow that he does a lot of things a lot differently than in his blocking schemes than the Patriots do. So if they get a chance to look at it, obviously they can't practice any of it anytime soon, but at least looking at it and trying to get an understanding of what the differences are, that helps too. But you never know really what you got until you can get the guys out there and get them running around and figure out who's who. Hell, we have how many different 35, 40 different offensive line setups over the course of the season last year, and none of them really, the one that Isaiah Prince was on, I thought was the best one, and they got rid of him. But they had him at right tackle. Well, at right guard. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking, like, we was actually running behind him. Him and Davis over there were plowing people away. Or what that boy name is? Bane?
Well, I ain't going to say that. But
what that boy name is? Bane? What his name is? Bane? Yeah.
Bane.
They had production.
He did all right.
But one game. We saw one game over, then they never went back to it again. So You know, maybe that's why. That's another reason why O'Shea is gone too, because they, you know, and the offensive line coach left again too. So now you got a whole new guy again, and another, you know what I'm saying? Too much. But on defense, your core, what you doing, how you gonna go about doing it, that ain't gonna change. It's Flores' defense. It ain't gonna change.
I ain't gonna lie. What I'm concerned about is I ain't gonna even lie to you. I'm concerned about this Xavien Howard situation. And not just from this domestic, I'm concerned from a health standpoint as well as, you know, this off the field issue that's on the news now. Because I think Xavien Howard, a healthy Xavien Howard going to next year, he was going to be a huge part of what he was going to be a huge, if he was healthy, he's going to be a huge part of, you know, what we do. And hopefully it would have contributed to a lot more wins. So, yeah. That to me, that and the continuity with this, I'm talking about from a terminology standpoint, the overall scheme on the offense, the unfamiliarity that every other player that they have, you know, that like Ballgame said, on piggyback on what he said, that takes time to learn that. It takes time to the application of the schemes, you know, that takes time. You know what I'm saying, over the course of a year. So those two glaring issues, in my opinion, I ain't gonna lie, I'm concerned about Xavien Howard. Because we all know what kind of player he is when he's healthy. And again, this whole off the field issue that's come up, I mean, it's concerning. I ain't gonna even lie to you. Extremely concerning.
What about you, Reason?
So for next year as a team, basically my top concerns are establishing a run. We haven't had one of those, and like a solid, legit option that we know is going to be here for time. That would be nice. Our trench play, even if we draft guys that I know, because of the changeover, you know, I'm going to be watching that closely for sure. And, you know, as an organization, I think a main concern to me is still identifying the long-term situation at quarterback. You know what I mean? Enough of all this. Dude, whether it's Tuma, whether it's Love, whether it's Rosen, whether it's Trevor Lawrence next year, or Justin Fields, let's establish this, because I'm sick of. I think one of the main keys to figuring out your identity is, you know, who's going to be manning the most important position for the foreseeable future. And, you know, we all sit here and know that long-term option Fitzpatrick is not. You know what I mean? So I think
Rosen ain't.
I think that's like, you know what I mean? It's, you know, it's to the point where, like, I'm ready for it to be over with, man. I'm ready for the constant rumors, rumblings, all that jazz. I'm ready for it to be over with. We identify our guy and we move forward, because I think once we do that, that's such a big step that when you think about it, we really haven't taken since Ryan Tannehill. And like, you can laugh, but I'm just saying the actual context of it is we haven't done something like that in that long, that we've identified that's our guy for the foreseeable future. You know what I mean? I agree. And it's time to do that. And I really hope that they make the correct decision, because, you know, we've talked about this before. You're probably going to be about 2 or 3 years till you see the end result of all of this. And, you know, Greer's head is going to be on the line for this, and big time, because you got a lot of capital, whether it's in free agency or in the draft, right? And I just think it's time for us to continue this trajectory upwards. I'm sick of this, where we have seasons where we get the hope, you know, the hope's there, and then next year happens and we learn that year before was nothing but false hope planted in us. I'm ready to see consistent trajectory upwards, and that doesn't mean the playoffs next year. Give me 2 or 3 more wins. Build on everything consistently, and that's what I want to see, man, because that's how you build a good organization.
Nice. Finsanity?
Can you readdress the question? I got so involved.
Your biggest concern next year?
Definitely a quarterback, what like Reason said, but the identity and the mentality of the players coming in. Like, I need to know that these guys, I saw it, where they wanted to compete, even in some of the losses. You saw where they were like, as they progressed each year. I like reason says, keep that trajectory going, keep feeding off of what we did last year, and keep fighting and keep buying in and believing in this coaching staff. And this coaching staff needs to, for so long, a lot of these players, lost a lot of games. We were always, around, 500, but now go out there and finish some of these games that we haven't been able to do. What is your mentality in the fourth quarter? Have you gotten out of that funk of, are we going to blow this, or what's going to go wrong, or is that flag going to be thrown? And for the fan base, stop wishing for the worst to get the best, because the same people who wanted us to tank for Tua, we didn't tank, but now we're still in the opportunity. We still have the opportunity to get the guy that you wanted. So you didn't have to wish and hope for the worst for you guys to get what you wanted. You feel me? Go out there and support this team. Go out there and cheer these guys on. Go out there and actually be a fan this year. I want to see, for all y'all, if we get Tua Tagovailoa, for all y'all who said tank for Tua, I better not see an empty single seat all year in the Rock. If I see one, I'm calling every single one of you out, and I'll be like, where are you at? Send me your seat location so I can come verify. Because the fact that we were so divisive as a fan base, going into this season was horrible. And you never see that in any other fan base. I've never, ever heard about, the media coming, out against an organization so much in their fan base, so much that Jadeveon Clowney said he wasn't going to come here because of all these rumors that you guys spewed out. You actually set us back a little bit, because we could have had Jadeveon if you guys would have, just shut up and been a fan for 5 minutes. Support the organization, do your job, and let's go out there and compete and hope that these guys have the mentality that in the fourth quarter, whether it's the last 2 minutes and we need our defense to get that stop, go out and get it. If we need whoever at quarterback, to make that throw that you couldn't make, that they make that throw. And let's put together a good team this off season. And by the time, we're in August and, all of the preseason games come along, let's be able to really see where we're at, because a lot of us were hoodwinked and bamboozled by Kalen Ballage. And by that, TD, don't start.
Y'all will see.
But let's have an actual real measuring stick this year. Let's see where these guys are at, and let's see, the competition. I want to be, top of the AFC East. I want to be, top 2 team in the AFC. Is it 100% realistic with what's the name that we have? No, because we don't know what our team is going to look like. But we will reevaluate that, in March. We'll reevaluate.
I'm going to make a proclamation right here. 2 things. One, as you guys know, I was never on board with the tanking for Tua. I just didn't think we were very good and we'd win. I don't think any franchise should tank. I don't think that sends a good message. And to an extent, I don't think it's very fair. You know what I mean? So on the flip side, I will make a proclamation here and now. If we draft Tua Tagovailoa, I will be at his first start in Miami.
Wasted money. But all right, I'm just teasing. All right, so my 2 biggest concerns for the Miami Dolphins, number 1 is the defensive end position. The reason why I'm concerned about it is because, first of all, we got free agency, but that doesn't mean that we're going to land someone. Number 2, we got free agency. I mean, we got the draft, but at the end of the day, even if we wanted, it's 3 guys that we definitely want. Who's to say they're not taken whenever we're ready to get a D lineman? So that's not a guarantee that we're gonna get that dog at the position, and I'm just hoping that we can land it, whether it's free agency or the draft. I am, because I just don't want this whole process to go by and we end up empty-handed a young talent perspective at that position. And when I say young, it could be in the draft or a guy coming off his rookie deal or something. I just don't want to miss that mark. Number two, last thing that I'm concerned about with this team is special teams.
What? Not the O-line? Not the O-line?
Well, I know that that's going to be a top priority. I know that we're going to go address it. So I don't have much concern on the O-line at all. But the special teams is something that we didn't see improvement last year. We could talk about they developed this, they developed that, but the special teams is the one area where nobody's talking about, and we didn't see anything that makes us feel good. And if we're going to be headed on our way to a Super Bowl in the near future, you got to have all three phases of the game, and that's one where I don't see any signs of, man, we're good in that area too.
Fair enough.
So at the end of the day, we got to somehow –
I don't necessarily think we were bad in that area. I just think
we were good. We were good in regards to touchbacks or punts, but I'm talking about making plays. Maybe block a kick here and there. Get in there, make a play. We didn't do any of that. You got to be able to make a play, even if it's during the regular season, to help you win that one game. That was non-existent.
Yeah, we didn't get those big Jakeem Grant moments.
Yeah,
Jakeem was hurt.
But again,
he was hurt. But we were missing
guys,
it from our.
When I talk about special teams, I don't even really talk about returning the ball much. You're gonna get what you get, and it's gonna be harder in today's NFL returning the ball.
Didn't John Jenkins block a field goal in Pittsburgh?
One field goal.
And we got that Jason Sanders pass got special teams.
Yeah, I love the Jason Sanders pass. That was beautiful.
Walt Aikens had that one amazing season where he was, blocking everything and returning it, and now.
See, I don't want us to be able to point to one or two things. I want us to be able to feel like, man, our special teams get it done. Every week something happening at least.
Hack is a beast.
I just don't think we were horrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's not a question, but we got to be able to create a turnover off a block or create. Y'all get what I'm saying, all right? On special teams.
You want us to flip the field for the offense, not just the defense. I get what you're saying.
Go bring Rizzo back. Go get Rizzo.
I just think we wouldn't. I just don't think. Obviously, there's need for improvement, but I'm just saying this. I don't think it's a glaring.
Well, we need a healthy.
I don't think
we also need a healthy return specialist.
Yeah. Again, it's a concern because if we fix our offense and we fix our defense, what we did on special teams isn't going to be good enough to have that edge, man. You got to have a good special teams. You got to.
Well.
But that's my concern. And my very last concern actually is the fact that the Spurs just got dogged by the Lakers, and that's for you, Em. I just had to throw that out.
Did they really? Did they lose? Damn, I forgot they did play. I thought they did play.
LeBron just started
playing tonight. Sorry,
how bad was it?
They played. We talked about it earlier.
Hey, I never said
it was 129 to 102.
Hey, listen to me, TD. I never said y'all. There's a concern. Y'all should be worried about the San Antonio Spurs. It's that team that's next door to you. You need to be concerned about, my friend.
All right, they'll get beat tomorrow night.
Okay, we'll see. You gonna put some on it?
Yeah, Tannehill back in Miami.
Ooh. Wait, who did the Clippers pick about?
No, when do they make up that game? The Lakers and the Clippers. The Clippers play the Heat tomorrow.
Oh, the Clippers play the Heat tomorrow?
Yeah, they play the Heat.
That'll be a good game.
That's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
We're gonna shoot them out the building for real.
I doubt that. Very seriously.
But the crazy thing is they got virtually the same record. The Heat is 34-15. The Clippers 35-15.
Listen, we're gonna shoot them out the building.
I doubt that. I doubt that very seriously.
Hero, Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson. Okay.
I love our boys, but
okay.
Hey, Kawhi gonna get him
another. Kawhi Leonard is something different.
All these teams that ain't gonna matter at the end of the day when the Lakers win it all.
Kawhi Leonard is gonna get him another one. What he will do this year, what he will achieve this year, is 3 championships with 3 different teams and 3 different Finals MVPs.
No.
Unprecedented.
Bro,
If
why
he
you
does
what
that-
make you think he gonna win one with the Clippers?
Exactly.
Bro, they are the best team. They are the best team in the NBA. I just call them facts.
When he's not on load
From a-
management.
They ain't no best team in no NBA, man.
No.
The
When
man
they- when
can't
the
win back to back. Don't you play that in the playoffs?
Well, he played back-to-back last year, didn't he, in the playoffs? Did he not?
He set out half the season. What are you talking about? He's not set out half the season this year.
All
And
right,
Paul George can't stay healthy to save his life. So what's up?
No, they're coasting is what they're doing, what they should be doing.
it's past my
They're
bedtime.
coasting.
All right,
They're
ball
coasting.
game. But we all finna get out of here, man. I appreciate y'all, man. As always, shout out to everybody who hung out with us all night. Y'all hit that like button on your way out of here. We got 88 likes, and we had as high as 150 at one point. So if you haven't hit that like button, let's get this video over 100 likes. All those who want to support the channel, the PayPal link is below. If you want to become a member of the Patreon, the link is in the description of the video as well. Again, shout out to Mr. Ball Game for always doing what he do for us. Same thing with you, EM, the little that you do for us. Reason we appreciate everything you do for us. And Finsanity will be here every week going forward. Not because she said it, but I'm just putting on blast to try to see if we can get that happen.
I'm still waiting on you, Ball Game. I'm still waiting.
Oh, hold on.
Man.
I almost forgot.
I'll be around.
I almost forgot. EM said it was something he had to say to me before we got out of here.
All right, y'all. 4:30 is coming. 4:30 is coming.
You loser. You're a loser, man.
4:30 is coming. 4:30 is calling my name, bro.
See, I knew you was lying.
I'm good anytime after 7 tomorrow, yeah.
After 7, y'all trying to do the rematch, man?
I'm gonna walk the dog with him.
Hey, y'all want it live? Y'all want it live?
Hey, bro, I don't want to play him unless we go live, bro.
Yeah,
I don't want no.
Yeah, because I don't want no buffoonery.
I don't want no live show.
How is 8 p.m.? 8 p.m. tomorrow night.
Yeah, that worked for me.
EM?
Right?
Oh, that's 7 your time.
Right?
We don't want to hear no excuses about you tired from your day.
Well, hey, I'm tired every day, but it's all good. You know,
all right.
That ain't no problem.
Maybe we can watch the Clippers game.
So breaking news: we got the Madden rematch. Ball Game say he gonna dust EM going forward. That's what he said last time. He's not even gonna take no caution.
You saw what happened last time too.
Yes, you won.
Say Ball Game. I got some new wrinkles in my playbook too, just for you, my friend.
Oh Lord. Okay. So you gonna add? So what you're saying is you're gonna add to your 4 plays with 2 more plays?
Hey, I got a separate playbook that is titled Ball Game Plays. Period. Ball Game Plays.
Bro, Ball Game's rent free in your head if you're doing that.
I revamped my playbook just for you, my friend.
So who really winning then?
Yeah, Ball Game living rent free in that head right now.
Hey, I got a condo in your head, boy.
Yo, you got a penthouse with an ocean view, bro.
Hey, I'm gonna show you who win.
You got a whole play. You got a Quint. This ain't what you want, bro. Hey, man, nah, bro. You got a long way to go before you ready to see me, bro.
Hey, Ball Game. I revamped my whole playbook just for you, my friend.
I'm rent free in your head, baby. Yeah, that's what I want.
You said it's called Mr. Ball Game. Hey, Mr. Ball Game, you should be lucky. You better hope he don't bring out that tour playbook he made.
Hey,
ain't gonna have much success with that.
You know, hey, Ball Game. You know,
limping around on the field with a bad hip, you know.
You know what EM told me? You know what EM told me? That next year for the new Madden, he hopes we draft you so we can beat you with 2 next year.
Yeah. Hey. I was just about to tell Ball Game that. Hey, once they draft 2, Madden 21 comes out, you play with Rosen, I'm gonna play with 2. And we'll see who our franchise,
I'm on board with that. I'm on board with that.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
I'm gonna show
hey,
you why.
hey, I would take the field. I would take the field with Goofy against you.
I hear you.
Or Elmer Fudd. Or hell, give me Pepe Le Pew.
TD, highlight Pete's comment. You gotta highlight Pete's comment. Martinez.
Anyway, that's nonsense. Anyway, that's nonsense. That's nonsense, bro. But
so it's going down tomorrow night, the rematch. Mr. Ball
I got
game
a lot of new wrinkles. My friend.
Here we go. On top. Can EM pull the series tied up 2-2, or does he go down 3-1 and it's over? He don't get no bragging rights at that point.
And also, when I'm done with ball game, this invitation, I'm extending it to anybody in the comment section, anybody all over the world. They can come get it
already
anytime. Let me know. That's for all of y'all. That's for all of y'all, my friend.
Y'all lucky, man, because I was gonna go get a PS4, but then everybody telling me just wait for the 5 to come out.
No, don't do that. Wait till the 5 come out.
Yeah.
Wait till the PS5 drop.
I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Why can't they just, man? I hate waiting on these releases, man.
It'll be out in October. It'll be out in October.
I know, but y'all gonna be. I want to get in on this and show y'all what time it is, but I'm gonna let y'all live for now. Get y'all practice in.
And Madden should launch. Madden should launch when it comes out at the end of September. So.
Yeah.
Wait, Madden come out at the end of September?
Yeah.
Madden actually drops August 5th every year now.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm thinking FIFA. My bad.
Oh yeah,
FIFA the end of September. That's all.
So when is Madden coming out again?
August 5th.
Huh?
First week up. Last week. I don't know. They always shoot for it to come out early from here on out. So.
Say, I know this fool Quinte Riddle. Is he calling me out?
Yeah.
Is he calling me out? Really?
Wants to smoke.
Well, we're gonna find out, man. Tomorrow night, y'all be here. And we're gonna see what time it is.
Hey, listen. Real quick though. I can't promise that I'm gonna be able to contain myself tomorrow, bro. Because Ballgame been talking a lot. He been spreading a lot of misinformation. You know what I mean?
I haven't said anything.
Hey, I've been sitting in stewing.
Hey, do what you gotta do to hype yourself up, bro. I haven't said anything about you. I'm 2-1 against you.
I'm taking all bets tomorrow.
What's the spread? What's the opening spread? What are we doing?
Mine is pretty much the ball.
I gotta hear.
He said he was gonna watch me. That's what he said. He said it wasn't gonna even be close from now on. That's what he said. He said it ain't gonna even be close. So
hey, it's blowout from here on out. But I'm just saying.
See? You see who talking, right? You see who talking?
Hey, TD. I don't want your channel taken off the airways, bro. Because I might not be able to contain myself tomorrow. I'm gonna let the world know.
Hey, you got to mute you then.
Hey, I'm gonna let the world know just how I feel about it while I'm killing them, bro. I'm telling you that right now. It's coming,
man. We gotta maintain the channel, man. So try.
I've been stewing for a month, bro.
Andy won. That's what's crazy about this.
I've been stewing for a month.
Hey, them first 2 games must have really got under your skin, man.
No. I just want to get this ball game foolishness settled. I want to run them away like I do most people. They don't even want to play me anymore. I want to run them off is what I want.
Oh, wow.
So once I get this ball game foolishness settled, I will sleep a lot better at night, gentlemen. I'll sleep a lot better at night, bro.
Holy, bro. You're affecting your sleep, bro.
Yeah. That's how serious I take this game, bro.
Oh,
wow.
That Madden life, I'm telling you, I'm about that Madden life, bro. Real talk.
No, you're not. You about that lobby life. Because if you was about that Madden life, you'd be in one of these CFMs with me.
Yeah, I hear you. No, don't worry. We'll address that at a later date. We'll address that at a later date.
Did you run full man created franchise mode?
Yeah.
Like how many men do you have online in yours?
32.
Oh, I'll join one if you do another one.
Okay, that's what's up.
I'll do 110%. I love running those.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll do that. Let's go.
With the Dolphins, with Josh Rosen.
Brother, Brother, last year I ran with a couple buddies. We only ran 10 in our league, and my one buddy's Seattle fan. Buddy, I got Tannehill to like a 92 by year 2. Because I was just bombing it out with them.
Go.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's on ball game. We'll do this. Hey, at 4:30 is calling me, bro.
So I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Love y'all. Y'all be safe.
All right, now.
All right, gentlemen. All right, Finsanity, be good.
You too, sir.